Hello everyone. How's it going? Welcome to the third stream of the week. Happy Friday as well. It do be the start of the weekend, right? Yeah. Another week has passed, more or less. And still going with the weekly theme of having these tier lists on Friday. Small voice crack.
Gow.
Great start.
Gow.
Oh boy.
Hi chat and Myst glove wave spook.
Thanks for the 2 months, Raiden. Welcome back to the Go Gang. Hello to you as well. So yeah, today we got another tier list. And it's one of the ones that people have been waiting for the most, if I had to guess. Casters. The fun class,
Gow.
right? Yeah.
Gow.
Good stuff.
If Izumi is not at least him calling the police.
Fair enough. Thanks for the 18 months, Chamango. Enjoy your 1.5 year badge. And welcome back to the Go Gang. Ooh, man, this is gonna be one of the harder ones to do, honestly. Most of the stuff I think will be pretty easy for me to place, but some stuff will be a bit harder to place. I'm not gonna lie. I tried to do some prep yesterday as well, but
put Anna on top
yeah,
or we riot.
You can never be like fully ready for one of these anyway. Anna on top of Rad, yeah, funny. Thanks for the 12 months, Jury. Welcome back to the Go Gang and enjoy your 1 year badge as well. Cool. So there's a lot of fun stuff today, huh? I'm excited at the same time, but I'm also kind of scared, not gonna lie. More scared than I normally am with these. Caster is a pretty heated topic, I would say. And so far, I think this is also the longest list as well. It's actually not that much longer at all compared to some of the earlier ones. But, you know, I think it still is the longest. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, hopefully you guys are having a nice day so far. And, yeah, hopefully we can assemble a nice list in the next 4 or so hours. Ooh.
Hello sir, I hope you will enjoy my pick for SR today. Is something OG that we did get on some time ago, is from 2004 to 2005 and is not dubbed because why not, kick?
Sure. Probably won't be focusing too much on the songs today though, but, you know. Fair enough, I see you, Gion. How many casters in JP today? I'm counting 43. Unless Jax forgot someone, but he assured me that he got everyone in. But so it should be 43 right now.
Gifted a tier 1 sub to Neeligong_Backer. They have given 13
I still didn't fix that, by the way. Remind me later, Jax. Thank you. Also, thank you, Kutito, for gifting Neeligong a sub. Much appreciated. Welcome back to the Go Gang, Neeligong. Yeah, Psych Finals, yeah, that's fine. I mean, should you be here in the first place if that's the case, though? That's the real question we should be asking. Alright. Oh. Well, then. Stella! Wow. Vish with the 5 gifted, though. Thank you, thank you. That's a way to start off the stream. Also, I should remind at this point that when we get to the others, scene on my stream, the alerts will be disabled for the stream. So, you know, just to make the video experience a bit better later. But I'm going to try and read all the alerts I see. And hopefully I don't miss out on any too big stuff. But yeah, dude, Vish, thank you for the 5 gifted. That's very nice of you. Much appreciated. Thank you, thank you. Happy Friday again. Alright, let's see. Here we are. 43, count them. Oh, man. Some of them have a bit modified icons, I suppose. You know, some because of copy and some because of Jax. You can probably tell who did which ones, but, you know, It should be pretty clear on what servants are which, though. Also, you know, you missed 30k? Wait, what 30k? Was there like a seal or something? Is that what you're saying? What? Oh, yeah, I mean, it's fine. Those happen on for a Saturday anyway. I don't ever have to see them. I'll check them on Saturdays anyway. Don't worry about it. I don't miss on those. Right, speaking of Saturday, getting my haircut tomorrow before the stream. So this is the last time you'll see this hair for a while. So after, starting from tomorrow's stream, my hair will be a bit shorter. A bit more organized than this bird's nest, you know? So, yeah. It's so hard to even keep this hair up, dude. It wants to come down all the time because there's a bit of weight behind it now. So yeah, getting that cut tomorrow. Exciting. Army cut? No. I'll get it short, but... Wait, this is not Devilman, is it? No, okay. Just similar type OST/music. Alright. If I ever get ripped, then I can maybe consider bald, but, you know, probably won't happen. You think army cut would look great on me? Well, thanks. Sure. You don't like how Irie is in Final Ascension, I don't know why. Well, blame Copy again. I guess he wanted to show off the titties. Let's be real, that's the best part about Irie's feel anyway, right? The Final Ascension. Alright, let me hydrate a bit and then we'll probably start, because again, it's gonna be another 4 hours or so anyway to do this. I'm not sure what you just asked me, Gandalf, because you repeated one of your words. No text at Anastasia. There used to be, much like the Sieg one that has my emote on it, the Anastasia one used to be the spooky emote, but when Jax modified it, he forgot about that, and he just put on the normal Anastasia back. But yeah, for a while on Copy's version, it was the spook emote, but now it's just normal Anastasia. So yeah, rip memes. We traded the spook emote for him having the Grail edits on Ilya and Miu. Think about that for a second. Look at this guy. Who's that before shoot then? Who do you think it is? I thought it's pretty obvious who it is. If you look at the outfit, you can kind of see the shirt and then you can see the hair, so... Yeah. Alright, let me get my notes up and ready. And then we're probably gonna start. Alright, everything should be good to go, right? Yeah, okay. Okay. Yes. Alright. Cool. Cool. You know what I thought of doing for the video as well? I thought of maybe playing the caster alert clip at the start of it as well, just for the memes. Maybe I'll do that when I edit the video. Would be maybe funny. Like just at the start of it, just you know, do the fucking air raid siren caster alert thingy. Okay. Yeah, I might do that. Anyway. Okay, you guys ready? Think we're gonna start then. Another week, another tier list, right? Hello YouTube, we're back with the class that I'm unfortunately very familiar with a lot of the times, whether I want to or not. The good old casters, and boy, do we have quite a bit of them. I think this is the longest list so far, not by a huge margin or anything like that, but there is indeed, if I count correctly, 43 casters in the game as of not February anymore, actually, March 4th, 2022. So this is what we're working with here. Now, as usual, a few disclaimers, again, because some people might only watch one of these videos and not all of these, so I'll always do the disclaimers at the start. So, again, I am not an expert. I've just played the game for like over 5 years now. I play both NA, JP, I whale quite a bit. I use a lot of different units, so, you know, I would like to think I at least have a decent amount of experience with this stuff. And as I just mentioned, every servant in the game is right now in. If you're watching this later, someone might be missing. Oh well. You know, if there's enough interest, I'll do these again next year as well, so don't worry about it. Obviously, all the latest buffs are also in. Everything is taken into account. Same as like support pick options. You know, everyone always has that one free one. I don't think I've mentioned that too many times, but obviously that is factored in the placement as well. Now the big one that a lot of people always miss. Different rarities are not directly compared here, okay? I will compare the servants with their peers, mostly within their own rarities, like between 4 stars and whatnot. But, like, it's pretty unfair if you compare, like, an AoE 2 star to an AoE 4 star, and let's say some of them end up being in the same tier anyway, you know? Don't be mad at me, because they're probably not going to be as good as, you know, as the tier might imply anyway. It's just, like, I'd rather not do, like, many tier lists for one class, so that's why it's like this basically. So don't really emphasize too much, put too much emphasis on the different rarities sharing like a tier or anything like that. But obviously sometimes a lower rarity one can be like better than a higher rarity one in what they do in very similar roles, and of course they get a lot of points for that, and I think even this list has some good examples of that once we get to them. So, you know, obviously it can work. MP1 assumed across the board for non-welfare gold servants. For story locks and or limiteds, a bit harder to assume a higher MP level, but yeah, it is what it is. Gotta be a bit more realistic. Obviously this is a gameplay tier list. I might revisit like waifu or husbando lists at some point, maybe. They're pretty fun and also pretty salty, but this is just for... I'm gonna try and be as unbiased and objective as I can here for the sake of gameplay rankings. Placement order, as you can see, is based on rarity first and then release order. So we go from 1 to 5 stars, and within the rarities, also their release dates, if that makes sense. You can see the thing right now, so hopefully that makes sense right now. Let's see. Oh yeah, and if you're watching this later on YouTube, I will include timestamps and everything for your viewing pleasure, so feel free to hop around. I don't blame you. This is gonna be a long video regardless, probably again close to 4 hours or so. As always though, shout out to everyone who do watch this full. You guys are the MVPs, especially people on my stream right now catching this live. Shout outs where applied, of course. Thank you. But yeah, feel free to jump around if you know you don't want to watch all of this. And at the end, be sure to check out before you leave an angry comment, just make sure to check the end of the video / stream, just because there might be small adjustments in placements at the end, so someone might get shifted a bit, so, you know. And also, I guess one thing I should note, this I'm getting a haircut tomorrow, so this is the last video for a while. You'll probably see me with this hair. I'm gonna cut it way shorter because I have a bird's nest right now for a haircut. Also, by the time this video comes out, is pretty cool. I think my channel will have broken 60k subs, so I'm very happy with that. So thank you everyone. And I already have a kind of a video planned just to, you know, kind of celebrate, I guess. So look forward to that as well, I suppose. Very cool. Shout out to all you subs. And yeah, I guess with that we are kinda good to go. But yeah, thanks also again for the good reception and all these. It really motivates me to continue doing these. Like every year I think the reception is better and better with my tier list, so thank you. Thank you for all the nice comments and whatnot. Also Copy, thanks for the 22 months. Welcome back to the Gal Gang. Alright, we can start, right? There's only one 1-star caster in the game. But he's a very cool one, in my opinion. A pretty damn cool one. It's Mozart. I might as well still grab my numbers here, even though, you know, it's... For 1 stars, it hardly makes any sense if you're above or average or below or whatever, but he is indeed below average for attack. But honestly, he's a support anyway, so it's actually better that his HP is high. Not that it's high anyway, because it's 1-star stats, but on average, I suppose. So what is he? He's a support arts caster. Pseudo art support, pseudo crit support. It's an interesting unit. Triple art stick makes sense. It's we're gonna be seeing this mostly today. Believe you me when I say that. It's the standard caster deck. Gains are obviously pretty not great. Day 1 servants tend to not have great gains, and he's certainly no exception. But you know, at least he can do those arch chains. Let's not even talk about the stars because there's no point, or star gen rather. Now the skills are very exciting. It's a 1-turn AoE arts buff for the team, 5-turn cooldown, but it's pretty good at 44%. In fact, that's a higher number that some people have their arts mana bursts on, and this is AoE, so not bad. Obviously the downtime is there, but you know, makes for a cute turn, I suppose. Second skill, he used to also have one of the worst skills in the entire game in this. You're gonna see another example of this today, actually, which was also buffed. So he too has received the buff now, which is very cool. It's still still a 1-turn MP damage down here, but they did change it so it doesn't have to be a servant anymore, which is good. So you can do it on any enemy now and reduce their damage. But that's still pretty minor at 18% most. But the other stuff is actually very cool. So now he also comes with arts resistance down for the target for 3 turns, 20%. Not bad, actually, especially for 1-star. That's nuts. And a crit chance down 20% for 3 turns. All of this on a 5-turn cooldown. Well, look at that. Now we actually have a nice skill. To go from arguably one of the worst skills in the game to an actually a good skill. Well done. I guess at that point I should say well done Deep W, because this was definitely before lasagna was a thing. But yeah, good skill actually. And then the third skill, which is pretty famous. Up to a max crits, or guaranteed crits. 50 stars max rank. 6-turn cooldown though, but still. You're basically guaranteed crits for that 1 turn, unless you drain your own stars after you get them, but yeah. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, his kit is kind of really good for a 1-star. Like, he's obviously mostly known for the skills. Like, he's a very flexible, like, support coming in from the back line, or, you know, you use him and then you swap him off, or, you know. He's always been, like, very interesting, even before they buffed this, just for these 2 skills. Anyway, you know, I guess this helps with his own gains, but it's not like you ever, like, need his gains too much anyway. His MP is pretty weak, as you're about to see. MP never been buffed before, and you have an 80% chance to reduce the enemy's attack. AoE 20%, same for defense, and then curse for 500. All of these is bad. It's a bad MP, let's be real. I don't know, these should be guaranteed to begin with, and even then it would still be kind of weak in my opinion. But hey, you know, it's probably better for him to still have a support MP because of the way his skills are than a damaging MP anyway. But yeah, definitely one of the weakest support MPs in the game. But yeah, he's all about the skills, let's be real. I really like Mozart. He's always been an interesting choice you can kind of slot in on a lot of teams. Not really for farming that much. You can do it to an extent, but mostly for like challenge quest setups and whatnot. I think at least an A is very, very, you know, fair. Pretty sure I placed him on A last year as well, and I'm not even sure if he had the skill buff to the second skill at the time. So honestly, you could maybe even argue an A+, but I think I'll still keep him an A, honestly. At least for now. There's going to be a lot of comparison later to other supports and whatnot, but yeah, Mozart just works. Like, one thing that's really great about him, which is also, I'm going to mention that on the next one as well, his party cost is ridiculously low, right? So you can easily put him in so many parties if you want to run like full SSRs. You could, yeah, Mozart barely costs anything. He's a 1-star cost, so it's actually really good. Now, dude, we're keeping up with some good old stuff here. One of my favorite supports in the game. Yes, so we got another support. It's ya boy, VODs. What could I say? He's really good. Now, let's take a look at his numbers. Again, attack below average, which is good because you really don't care about his attack at all. You just want him to have as much HP as possible. He's not a DPS by any means. The standard caster deck, much like Mozart, his gains are pretty average at best, but I would say weak, honestly. But yeah, let's move on to the skills because there's some good stuff here. Honestly, even though this skill is kind of old and it's very basic, it's still fine. AoE party crit damage, 3 turns, 5-turn cooldown, 40%. Good uptime, I would say. Yeah, Still not bad at all, and this is why he actually qualifies as a pretty decent crit support too, in combination of his third skill. Now the second one skill, it's not 100% battery, but he gets a lot. So definitely makes the uptime on his MP a bit better, which is good because unlike Mozart, he actually has a pretty good MP. So not bad. Basic, but not bad. 6-turn cooldown. I think it's pretty fair here, honestly. Then the third skill used to suck ass, was very weak, and now is insane. Like, how about that? One of my favorite buffs in the entire game. So now it's a targeted skill. So the target this first effect doesn't really matter if it's targeted or not too much in most cases. You'll get up to 15 stars per turn for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. Now that alone is already very nice. But now the target also gets 10% MP gauge every turn for 3 turns. Really, really good skill, and especially on a 2-star, it is ridiculous. It's probably, I might even go as far to say that this is the best 2-star skill in the game, unless I'm forgetting something, which is very possible, but it is so damn good. And again, makes this even better because you'll be getting so many stars just from this. Like, a lot of people run 20-30 with him anyway, so that's like, even on non-MLB 20-30, you're looking at like 23 stars per turn just from him. That's kind of crazy, and on a good uptime as well. Think about it. Alright, arts up again. It's cute, and debuff success rate. In fact, he doesn't even have any debuffs, does he? But so it's basically a lore thing, which is funny. And then the MP used to be okay still, but now it's a bit better since they did add a 4th effect, I suppose. But much like Mozart, sadly, it's only up to 80% chance to apply buffs. So what does your team get here? Attack up 20%, defense up 20%, star generation 20%. This is actually pretty damn minor, not gonna lie. But at least the heal is guaranteed. It's not affected by the RNG. A lot of people don't even know that, I suppose. But yeah, the heal happens every time. And it actually scales pretty okay with OC as well, considering their 3-turn effects across the board. So it's a good MP. Like, you're gonna get most of those buffs anyway. Hardly ever do you get a perfect Hans MP. I think, I forgot what the math was behind it was like 7% or something to land everything. I think, I could be wrong here, but yeah, even then, it's actually a great MP, regardless. And it has a pretty decent uptime as well, with him having a battery too. And you're probably gonna be running a second support with him anyway. He's one of those that I tend to slot in my challenge quest parties most of the time. Like on the backline, he's so cheap to just put in. A cost of 4 is ridiculously low. It's like nothing. So easy. I will still place him in EX. I have to. He's amazing. For a 2-star, he is top tier broken, okay? Especially with the 3rd skill buff. It's the final nail in the coffin. He's nuts. Hans. And also, one of my favorite supports to use. Just all around great. Now we're going to take a small step down from all this hype, I suppose. Because I feel like a lot of people... I feel like my opinion of Shakespeare is not as high as a lot of other people. I feel like his value has diminished a bit over time. But let's see what he has anyway. So he's like half support, half AoE DPS with a Buster AoE MP. So for him, the attack actually kind of matters a bit, I suppose. It's on the lower side, but you know, you will be seeing that from most casters today anyway, since they don't really scale too well with the attack buff. But it's alright, I suppose. Again, with the standard deck, is more or less, they tend to share like very similar numbers here. So again, nothing crazy, just very average at best. Stargen also, let's not even mention it here. Now the first skill, this is what he was honestly mostly kind of used for, I think. But it's kind of out there at this point. So it's the same as Mozart's skill, but for Buster, and it doesn't even have as big of a number, which is awkward because Buster doesn't even like give you gains or anything like that. Kind of weird. So this used to be alright. Now I think it's just not as great as it used to be. It's pretty weak, but you know, supporting, I guess. Second skill, self-invo 1 turn with the 6-turn cooldown. So you know, it's the standard. And the secondary effect is self-heal up to 1.5k. It's okay. Very, very standard, but definitely nothing crazy. And then the third skill, targeted 20% battery flat. I wish it scaled to 30% or something. And then star generation for 1 turn. Up to 100%. I'm gonna sneeze. Fuck. Probably won't be the only sneeze today. Hopefully that wasn't loud. Nice chunk of star gen though, but all of this on a 6-turn cooldown? That's pretty long, man. That is long. Don't think that's worth six turns. This should be 5. So yeah, I feel like time has not done Shakespeare that many good favors, honestly. Unlike Hans, for instance. This one also helps, I suppose. And then the MP, it used to be like the wettest of noodles. I mean, it still kind of sucks. It has no other normal effects besides damage, and the stun chance is ridiculously low, even buffed values at 40%, so what could I say? It does okay damage, but it's still a very weak MP in my opinion. So, yeah. Shakes. Yeah, I don't know, honestly. For a 2-star, maybe he's still like a B, honestly. But I don't think I can really put him any higher than that. He could use another buff, in my opinion. His kit is just so outdated at this point. Could definitely use more love. I almost just want to put... maybe I'm going to be a bit savage and put him in average tier. So C+, yeah. Honestly, yeah. Sorry, Shakes. I wish you could get buffed at least. Now, the last 2-star, but definitely one of the, you know, most interesting and important entries in this entire tier list. Chenggang. AoE arts, DPS farmer, utility man. He does a lot of things, let's be real. He does a lot of things, okay? Stat-wise, his attack is atrocious. Actually, no, it's actually good. I was looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, it's actually pretty good for a 2-star. Not that he really needs it because his MP hits hard anyway, but yeah, sure. It's fine. It's good. His deck, again, at least because he's not a day 1 servant, it's not just one hitters across the board. So, you know, while his gains from experience are not that good, they're not terrible, but, you know, definitely not amazing. In fact, it's actually kind of unfortunate that he has 4 hit art scars because they had to nerf this number, which in turn helps his, or hurts his MP's refund, but it's not really a problem most of the time anyway. You'll see why soon, and most people probably already know why. Now the skills, he actually has a very interesting skill set too, especially for a 2-star. Alright, so it's a targeted taunt for 1 turn. And an AoE crit chance down by up to 30% for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. Honestly, not a terrible skill. A lot of the times you don't use this the way it's intended to, like, you know, actually using him like DPSing against bosses, maybe like a sub DPS. A lot of the times you'll be using this to, you know, you want someone to die so you can rotate your units even more. So, but yeah, not bad. Second skill, he actually has the same skill as Rhinus and Waver does. I believe this is the lowest rank of the 3 though, but still, it's a good skill, man. It's a good skill. It's one of my favorite defensive skills in the game. So a flat 10% battery for the party, a very decent chunk of defense up, and, you know, a pretty minor damage cut, but yeah. Not bad at all. Still a great skill to this day. Very nice. Then the third skill. Very cool, actually. So, no matter what, it's a targeted mana burst for 50% buster up for 1 turn. So, it's definitely just a better mana burst, even as is, because it's the same 5-turn cooldown, 50%, but it's targeted, so it's already better. But if you happen to target a Berserker, they also get crit damage, 100% for 1 turn, and I guess max HP. This definitely should have been absorbed, in my opinion, because this won't really help too much if they can't get the stars to begin with, but I digress. Yeah, cute bonus, I guess. Yeah, I guess it's meant to be lore-wise a Lubu support, so fair enough. I would say for a 2-star, again, another great kit. It's good. But a lot of the times in his most frequent uses, you hardly need his kit anyway. But yeah, not bad if you do need it. This is nice, especially for his MP damage, I guess. You know, this can help because, you know, he has a debuff at least. And then the MP. The MP. It's pretty infamous, right? Yeah. So it does a lot of damage because it's one of these sacrifice MPs like Arash. So very high modifiers because of the sacrifice. And, you know, it works the same way as a rush. So if the enemy survives the initial hits, it's going to add additional hits for more damage, basically. A lot of people don't even know how it works, actually. But yeah, you're going to get... it's so it's explained right here, right? And there's even a... Like, I'm not going to read all this to you, but yeah, you can get up to 8 hits from his MP, depending on how long the enemy lives, I guess. So it's between 4 and 8 hits. And sacrifice... unlike Araj, he doesn't yeet himself. He yeets the first ally after him. So if he's in the middle, he's going to yeet the left. If he's in the left, he's going to yeet the next one on his right. Be it the middle one. Unless middle one is dead, then the right one. So, yeah. So first of all, he can actually do some looping as an arts AoE DPS already. His gains are... Refund is not crazy good, but it's not crazy terrible either. But it's even easier, obviously, when, you know, he's going to yeet someone. So chances are, boom, next support comes in. Just more gauge, more damage, more everything, right? So, yeah. Also, no, he cannot actually kill himself, sign. Maybe, I guess, should note that. But yeah, he cannot use his MP if he's the only one alive. Man, this guy. So, there's so many ways to use him, even for farming alone. Like, you can do some looping, and then you can do some not looping, like just, you know, shuffle supports like crazy. In fact, funnily enough, or ironically, he's actually better in the hands of a whale account. Because, you know, you have more access to more supports to come in and help him a lot. But even then, he's, like, pretty easy to make work. Like, even on, like, a free-to-play account. He's just... so solid. And then you can use him for some challenge quest setups, too, with the taunt and the yeet and just... So flex. So many uses. Like, if you thought Habituate had a lot, I think he might even have more uses. I mean, it's a pretty easy EX in my opinion. I'm not gonna like go anything on beyond or anything, but it's an easy EX for sure though. The gong, so useful even on like bigger accounts. Now we get to the 3 stars, and if I remember correctly, does Caster have like the most 3 stars of all classes in the game? Might be the case. Maybe Assassin. One of those two, I think. Anyway, we're gonna start with the day 1 character. Medea. Man, time has not been gentle for Medea. I'm not saying she's an old hag. I'm talking about gameplay here, okay? I'm quite fond of her. So what do we got? I guess I'm gonna call her a single target DPS, but honestly, like... her damage, you'll see what I mean, but yeah, still a DPS, I guess, with a good amount of utility. If anything, she's more utility than DPS. So the stats, her attack is actually good for a 3-star, and especially worth noting because casters tend to have lower attacks than most other classes, so it's actually really good for a caster of 3 stars. Again, we go back to these numbers with the same one-hitter arts, triple arts deck with the, yeah, it's all the same. So the gains are not great, they're just eh. Star gain also sucks, obviously. Now, unlike Hans, she has a big battery. In fact, even the lowest rank is higher than Hans's lowest rank, but it comes with a 1 turn higher cooldown, which I think actually hurts her, because in what scenario do you really need 150% MP gauge? You really don't. You can get more use out of her OC, because it's not terrible sometimes because of this number, but I still would prefer a lower cooldown in a lot of cases. But at least this, because her damage is kind of gimped, this at least enables her to use Black Grail, I suppose. Which is like the only case I can even consider her a legit DPS, to be honest. Second skill, sucks. It just sucks. It's a self-heal 2.5k 4-turn cooldown. Terrible. This day and age, terrible. Should not exist in this form anymore. That sucks. Third skill is cool. It's actually really cool. So it's a targeted skill for one ally. Removes all their debuffs and gives them MP gain up to 50% for 1 turn. Still shouldn't be 6 turns cooldown in my opinion. That's also way too harsh. But this can have some cool uses. In fact, I think there's even some setups in farming that actually utilize this. Pretty sure. It's pretty damn rare. But yeah, it's a cool utility skill to have. So at least this is not terrible. Still 6 turn cooldown is too much, but it's not as bad as this one. So overall, like compared to some of the previous ones, man does her kit scream day 1. It is not great overall. It's just okay. So to Christian A, mostly for damage, not so much for gains. This one doesn't really matter. She doesn't have debuffs anyway, right? Yeah, the MP, man, like, I blame the battery. It's again to be blamed here, right? Because she was a day one servant that no one else had a battery of this size, basically. Even because, like, remember, Hans didn't have this big, and he's not a DPS anyway, so it doesn't matter. They gimped her numbers. It's so unfortunate. At a buffed MP, these should not be the numbers for a single target Arts MP. These are way too low. It's unfortunate. Buff removal is great, don't get me wrong. Sadly, after damage though, so again, another very unfortunate thing. And the OC actually scales well, so sometimes the battery can actually give you like way extra battery for refund, but it tends to be a fairly spammable MP, especially with supports, but the damage, even with Black Grail, it's just definitely on the low side because of the GIMP modifiers. It's so unfortunate, and I'm not sure if they're ever gonna fix this. They might do a Vlad, I hope, at some point, like a Vlad scenario. But she's just in a weird spot right now, right? Like, I can't think of that many uses for Medea. Like, why would you pick her over someone else? You would definitely not run her as a solo DPS unless you have like level 120 and so or something, but I don't know. She's kind of odd. I almost want to place her in C+ again. Just average. The utility is alright for sure, but damage is very lackluster in her. She doesn't really bring too much to the table. If the buff removal was before damage, I would probably put her in B, but it's so awkward that it's also after damage. Not that the damage is crazy good anyway, but it's just annoying. Yeah. I can maybe understand if some people want to place her in B, but I think I'm going to place her in C. I really want to see her buffed again. They just hate Medea, let's be real. They just hate her. Come on, Lasagna, DW hated her. Now is your turn to love her, okay? Next one is a fun one. Another day one servant, I suppose. Saiko no Kuru. Gilderay. AoE Buster Caster DPS. Definitely not a farmer, but, you know, an interesting unit, I guess. Now, unlike Medea, his attack sadly is on the low side for a 3-star. Unfortunate. Same gains. Again, it's very easy for me because, like, they're all the same. All of these day one caster, they're exactly the same, more or less. There's, like, barely any difference worth mentioning here. So, again, very average at best for gains. In fact, probably lower than average. So, yeah. Skills though, he used to have one of the worst skill sets in the entire game. I would not call it the worst anymore. It's still not amazing by any means, but you know, they did something at least. Starting with this skill, which again might just be his worst skill. So, self debuff success rate up for 3 turns, 25% 5-turn cooldown. Like, uptime is good, but besides that, sure, he has debuffs, but what? And then this should be debuff resistance. I don't know why it's only mental debuff resistance. Like, come on, dude. Give him at least some good debuff resistance. I mean, it does scale to 100%, but should just be flat out all debuffs. Like, this is a weak skill still overall. Not great. Again, so here we go with the second one. This was even worse than Mozart's. In fact, after Buriga's skill was buffed from being borderline useless to fairly useful, I thought this was the worst skill in the game for the longest time. It's like so useless. But luckily, much like Mozart, they did buff it. So again, unlike Mozart, his became AoE. So it's an AoE MP damage down for 1 turn. A slightly higher number as well, so that's cool, I guess. And then AoE Arts and Buster Resistance is down for 3 turns, all on 20%. 5-turn cooldown. Now, again, much like Mozart's, it's good. It's a good skill. Because the uptime on those debuffs, not the MP damage, but the better ones, is actually good. And it actually helps him too, I suppose. But yeah, it's a good skill now. Went from arguably the worst skill in the game to a good skill. So again, good job DW, I guess. And then he was the first servant to have terror in his kit. There's still not that many terrors around, but definitely more than there used to be. So you inflict the terror for 5 turns, and then every turn up to 40% chance to stun them for 1 turn. 8-turn cooldown though is ridiculous. That is way too high. Way too high, right? Also, Ari, thanks for gifting Lithoniel a sub. Much appreciated. yeah, this is just bad. It's way too high. Like, we have AoE charms that do defense downs on 7-turn cooldown and whatnot, and this is not like you don't even control when the stun happens, if it even happens at all. You could lose 40% and never get a stun to begin with. That's actually possible. So yeah, it's not a great skill. It's not the worst there is, but it's pretty bad. Again, just for damage, this one mostly. I guess it has a little bit more value because there's also this Archer's down now. Then the MP, never been buffed. No other normal effect besides damage, and then AoE attack down 3 turns, base 20%. Not bad, honestly, because he's not a farmer, so this could be useful, but you gotta keep in mind here, right? His MP has never been buffed, and he's a story-locked character, so a lot of people only have 1 copy of him at most. So, yeah, it's not like he's gonna do good damage anyway, right? Especially with his way lower than average attack. So again, I do like this buff. It's a step in the right direction, but he's far from being anywhere like good. Definitely not. He needs to be Saiko no Kuru. He's not there yet. He's C or D+. I like the buff though, but I can't even put him in average tier. The buff is good though. The skill is way more usable now. I want to almost place him in... Yeah, you know what? Okay, I'll make a compromise, because C for cool, okay? I like that, okay. But I could totally understand if he was, like, down here as well, even with the buff to the worst skill ever, but yeah. C for cool. But he's not still that good. He's definitely not amazing. Right, another interesting one. Also day 1, right? Yes, okay. Mephisto. Also AoE Buster DPS. Again, I would not call him a farmer, definitely a DPS. Attack is slightly higher than Jill just now, but not great either. At least he has 2-hitter arts, I guess. But his game's obviously still not amazing. Not by any means. But, you know, a bit of variety. Yeah, a lot of people have been telling me they've been seeing those ads lately, Lloyd. I guess they start pushing them out in the past few days. Interesting. Shout out to Idol Huntress. I still play that game, by the way. It's cute. Anyway, yeah. Pretty standard still. Not really much to deviate from the others so far. First skill, single target drain. 80% chance. I hate it. I hate it, okay? I hate it. It would be average if it was 100% on a 5-turn cooldown. It would be an average skill. Now it's definitely below average. Don't like this skill. I do like drain though, but I don't like chance-based drain. Second skill, much like Hans, used to be terrible, but hey, they buffed it, so that's cool. Now, again, they tend to do buffs pretty well nowadays, even for the lower stars. Sadly, usually one buff, much like here, tends not to be the difference maker, but hey, it's a cool skill now. I wish they upped the stars to 15 as well, like with Hans as well, so it's only still 9 stars per turn. But hey, 30% attack up, self 3 turns, and this one not though so big, 50% healing reduction for enemies for 3 turns, but 9 stars per turn, 30% attack up, 3 turns each, 5-turn cooldown is still a good skill, I would say. It's still a good skill. And maybe someday you might need this niche, need this debuff, then sure, more value. But even without this, it's not bad. It's still fine, I would say. Especially for a 3-star, it's really good. Now the third skill, I love this. This was one of the coolest, and this was like a year 1 addition, right? Which is really surprising to me. Because this is the best single target buff block in the entire game. You're looking at it right here. So it's a 3-time buff block with no duration. It's so good. It's like so good. Like there are cases where you can legit pick Mephisto just for this skill. And his 6-turn cooldown isn't even that bad. And again, if people don't remember how buff block works, it blocks instances of buffs. So let's say you use this, if you're fighting First Emperor, use this on him. He uses his MP. He gets no buffs at all. And that's only 1 stack of these 3. It would deny him 3 MPs, for instance, if he only used his MPs for buffs. Like, that's crazy. And it doesn't even have a duration. It's endless, unless it gets cleansed. But dude, it's strong. The dot obviously sucks. No one cares about the curse. But just for this, it's really nice. I love this skill. It's so cool and unique. So at least with this, he has a place in the game. even if they buff this, I don't still think he's a great DPS by any means. It's still mostly this from Mephisto. Definitely. Again, just a bit more damage, I guess. Sadly, his MP is not arts, though. Debuff success right up. I guess it makes this a bit more guaranteed, which is nice. Berserker bonus, actually not bad. And the MP, unlike Jill, has been buffed. But it's one of those good old year 1 buffs. This was funny to me, by the way. I forgot. His curse used to be chance based. Because that was too OP, apparently. You only had an 80%, up to 80% chance to place the AoE curse of 500 damage. So the buff did remove that. But that's it. That's all it did besides the damage buff. But hey, at least it still always had the ignore defense, which is a cool normal effect. So it's a decent hitting MP, because, you know, free MP5 is very free on a permanent caster. Not bad. OC sucks, though. He's an interesting guy. I still wouldn't really pick him as a DPS, even with this buff. That makes him a more viable DPS. But, I almost want to place him in, like, B. Just because I really love the utility of the third skill. It's so good. Like, if you need buff block, it's so good, dude. Best single target buff block in the entire game. Not even close. No one comes even close to that. So, yeah, I feel like B is fair. He's still okay for DPS too, for sure. But mostly for utility, I would say. Mephisto. Oh my god. I guess he's also day 1. And man, compare 2015 Coup caster to I'm blind, there he is, to 2022 or 2021 to an extent, I guess. But yeah, Coup caster used to be one of the worst, honestly, before his buffs, and yeah, before other stuff got out as well. So Mr. AoE Buster DPS, and honestly nowadays definitely more of a farmer than DPS for sure. Attack a bit on the lower side, but it doesn't really matter the way he works nowadays. Let's be real, it doesn't really matter. The standard numbers, again, not much for me to say about it, but you don't even care about this refund to begin with, these gains. He's good, trust me, he's fine. Now, the first skill is pretty okay, actually. So, self-crit damage, self-debuff rest, 3 turns each, 50%, both. Actually not bad. And then a 30% battery, all on a 5-turn cooldown. So, honestly, even if, like, this is still a good skill. Even outside of, like, farming or whatever, like, it's a good skill. Even for, especially for 3-star, it's actually a good skill. That is good uptime. I like that. And I like the effects too. Crit damage might not be the most useful thing, but, you know, it's better than, like, mental debuff success chance up or something. Now, the second skill, because he's an OG Coup, he has the good version of PFA, the 3-attack PFA, with a nice chunk of defense up as well on A rank. 5-turn cooldown. You know, it's just broken as a defensive skill. It's so good. Oh my. In farming, you don't really need it, but you, again, you can easily use him outside of farming as well for DPS purposes nowadays, so. And then the third skill. Used to be a lame disengage, and man, this is now one of the most unique skills in the entire game. A very, very, very unique case indeed. So it still comes with the self-cleanse and the heal. That didn't change at all. But now, 3-turn attack up. 30%, not bad on a 5-turn cooldown. Not that the cooldown really matters too much here. And then, actually, no, it doesn't matter for the farming, actually, in the optimal comps. But then, delayed buff, which gives you a guts after for one time after 1 turn. And you also get a guts activation buff for 1 time after 1 turn, which charges your MP gauge by 80%. And then you die. But because you get the guts first, you don't die. And you resurrect with up to 3k HP. So it's just a lot more damage. And gauge. Is kinda stupid, man. The way this works with Buster farming. Oh my, like double Koyan, you get the cooldown back as well on 5 turns. You gotta be shitting me, dude. Ugh. It's ridiculous. You slap him with Black Grail, he just destroys everything, dude. Again, cool passives, but not the most relevant things. Then the MP itself also has seen a buff, and you know, this buff is even better now with the Buster meta. So yeah, 20% Buster up for 3 turns before damage. Again, key that it's 3 turns, it's even better because, you know, he's gonna MP 3 times in a row anyway. So yeah, that's already 60% Buster up for this for the last MP cool. Sadly, the defense down is after damage, but it's only a base 10% anyway, so it's not like you're missing out too much. And the burn, it's cute at 10 turns, so if you want to use him as a cool DPS, you could, in theory, give Honey Lake CE to him, and this burn would have an amazing uptime. So he would basically always have that damage up, but not for farming, obviously, because the burn is after damage. It would only be for bosses, which again, is possible, for sure. Thanks for the full year, Chagara. Welcome back to the go again. What can I say? If you haven't seen videos of Caster Crew looping, is stupid. He can farm neutrals as a 3-star at level 70. Is stupid. Like, he's very close to being a very similar character than like Melusin. Obviously, he's not as great because of 3-star stats, but man, he's ridiculous. He's just so ridiculous now. He's gone a long way, and this is honestly deserved as well. He used to be like day 1 before any buffs at all. He was like a C. His damage sucked. His skills were not great either. But now, after everything and the way the meta is now, he's honestly, I think he's the best 3-star in the game. Unless I'm forgetting someone, I think he's the best 3-star in the game nowadays. He's just that good. Cool caster. Again, just look up videos about Buster farming if you haven't seen him. Is ridiculous. Okay, that was a cool one. Another cool one, actually. Still somewhat relevant, I would say. Yeah, ever since the buff happened to the 3rd skill, I think. Paracelsus. AoE, Buster, DPS. Maybe a bit of farmer, but honestly, mostly supports. I think that's the way most people use him, and it makes sense. Attack, again, on the lower side, but, you know, if you're going to use him as a support, it doesn't really matter too much anyway. But his damage is still not bad, honestly, either. But it's not, like, crazy good or anything. Gains, again, pretty lame. not great, pretty lame. So still nothing crazy there. But the skills, ooh, the skills, okay. He has a big battery for himself, not a full one, not a full gauge, but because it is 80%, and nowadays you could combo this with an append, so, you know, that's already 100%, which is cool. I like that. Again, he has more potential for farming as well as time goes on, if you so choose to use him as. Second skill is really nice. It's not the best AoE arts ever, not by any means, but in combo with the 3rd skill, it just adds up. So 3 turns of 20% arts up for the party. Cooldown is way too long though, but for farming it doesn't really matter. But for non-farming use, this cooldown is way too high for this. Way too high. It should be like 6 or 5 turns. So yeah, then the 3rd skill used to be a targeted guts, which was pretty lame. Oh baby. This buff is so good. 3 turns of MP generation, 50%. That's a lot, man, on targeted. It's still like top of the line for targeted stuff like this. It's so good. So good. So that's why he actually can be a looping support for arts. In many cases. I mean, he's not Castoria levels, let's, you know, not kid ourselves, but he can be on many comps. For sure, and in fact, he actually pairs well with Castoria too. Like, you can pick, if you don't have a Castoria yourself, you can just pick a free one from supports and just, you know, supplement the second one with him. That's fine too in a lot of cases. And again, he's not a bad farmer himself either. This is actually good for damage. And then, you know, debuff success rate up doesn't really matter too much. Then the MP luckily has been buffed, which helps with the damage. Otherwise, it wouldn't do that much damage, but it does help. But since it's a year 1 buff, it's only damage, which is very lame. The MP itself is still kind of bad, honestly. Just damage on normal effect and a very weak attack down for 10% 3 turns after damage. Weak MP, but, you know, it can still do a lot of farming for sure. Where we find all your tier lists? On my YouTube. They should all be up there. Yeah, he's very nice. Honestly, A+. A+ for the Paracelsus, in my opinion. Still very relevant and very easily usable. I don't think I can place him in EX. I don't think I can. But again, very flexible and can be used in both farming and supporting. So he's good at both, but not like the best in either. Isn't he the one with the scuffed MP metrics? Is he actually? I forgot. You're actually right. Yeah, true. Pretty sure you're right. True. But his MP is still not bad. Yeah, it's a Buster multiplier instead of arts. True. Something worth mentioning, I guess. But again, most people pick him as a support anyway. But some, like, not 90 plus nodes, he can, but otherwise he can work as a farmer too. Right, the next one I actually kind of like. Babbage. AoE Buster DPS. I would not call Babbage a farmer in this case, but, you know, a DPS. Attack is sadly very low. Very low. It's below 6k as a 3-star. That's annoying. Has a double Buster, double Arts deck, so the first one to deviate from the usual caster deck, unless I already forgot someone. I actually kind of like that he has double Buster, because he has crit potential in his kit too. He's one of the rare casters that actually kind of is like a crit caster when you think about it. But his gains are still obviously not great. But, you know, I kind of like this for easier crit potential, or better crit potential for damage. Now, speaking of which, MP gain up, self 3 turns 30%, and 1 turn star absorb. It's a lot, it's 4 digits, but sadly only 1 turn. It's an average skill, but it got more value when they did buff the third skill, which you'll see in a second here. But yeah, still I would say an average skill. Pretty high cooldown, sadly. This is a great skill, honestly. So it's already a 1-turn invul and a 5-turn cooldown, which is better than the standard one. But it's also a 40% attack up for self for 3 turns, so that's also way higher than average. Usually it's like 30% for the better 3-turn self buffs, so yeah. It's actually a great skill. The only downside is it might be slightly awkward to use it because it is comboed with the invul. But yeah, good skill, man. Good skill. Then the third skill used to be like absolute garbage. Now less so. They did up the MP damage to 3 turns. It's not the most relevant thing. Hardly ever you MP with him more than once every 3 turns anyway, but it can be better. And they did up, I guess the number is the same, but yeah, it can have some more value. But 100% crit damage for 1 turn and a 30-star bomb. Ooh, that's nice actually. Combo that with the first skill. He's gonna crit with every card he has, so again, actually not bad for crit potential. This is fat. That's 30 stars on command. And the burn, the demerits is pretty irrelevant. It's 1500 damage over 5 turns, so is not really that bad. It's now a good skill. It's his best skill, in fact, I would say. So overall, after these buffs, his kit for a 3-star is actually strong, man. It is strong. Now, sadly, the MP itself kind of leaves you wanting more, though. It has been buffed, but as it is a year 1 buffed, it's, you know, just a standard damage upgrade. Lame. Give him, like, Invul Pierce or something. I don't know. Something cool. And then defense down 3 turns, 10% base after damage. Yeah. It's still alright with the damage buff, but, yeah, it's definitely his skills that shine the most. But he's not bad. He's fine. I honestly wish his MP was single target instead, if anything. He's like between B plus and A for a 3-star AoE DPS, in my opinion. I think I placed him in A last year, but honestly, I guess he could. I think I can place him in A because he also gets good use out of the new Buster supports as well. Like Koyanska also likes crit DPSs as well, right? Light that is. So honestly, I think I can put him as a low A among the 3 stars. So yeah, good against assassins, but otherwise you probably won't be using him that much. Oh man, oh boy. Not a day 1 servant, but you know, worse than every day 1 servant there is. The G-Man, Geronimo, Grandcaster, all that. Attack is not the lowest we've seen so far, but also below average for a 3-star. Also, I think I should rate him as a DPS. He can farm, but mostly against 6+ enemy waves. He needs that to loop. Otherwise, it's kind of painful to do anything farming with him. But, you know, it's kind of cheating at that point anyway, so it doesn't really matter. He also has a double buster, double arts deck, which I honestly don't like in this case. I would prefer triple arts, but oh well. His gains also still not great, so I think none of the casters so far haven't had that good gains, sadly. Many of the later ones will have good gains, but yeah, even G-Man himself kind of poo-poo for gains. You like mana bursts? Have 3. I don't understand the design philosophy behind this. Especially the quick one. Like, he has a 1-2 hitter quick. Just why? Just why? Why? Like, mana burst as a skill already is, this day and age, is weak. It's not even average. It's just straight up weak. And he has 3 of them! And they all suck. At least this one makes his MP a bit better for damage, but besides that, like, what the fuck are you gonna do with these, dude? It's so sad, dude. So sad. Some people have skills, like one skill that is better than his entire kit. Like, if you remember Muramasa's rainbow buff, that one skill is better, not even tied with 3 of his skills, it's just better than 3 of his skills. What the hell, dude? Yeah, it's like, yikes. Again, more damage here, I guess. And then, you know, he has a debuff here, right? Yeah, the crit chance down. Okay. The MP itself is actually not bad. I like the added normal effect of crit chance down, 20% for 3 turns, always lovely. Party age healing, 1k base, not bad. And then debuff rest, 20% 3 turns. It's okay utility. Like, the MP itself is actually, for a 3-star, it's good. Obviously, it's also a 1-hitter, so, you know, don't loop unless you're fighting 6+ enemies. But yeah, it's decent damage, but that's all there is. That's all there is. Are they ever gonna do anything with him besides this? Probably not. And in fact, even the buff alone was only damage, but at least the MP had a lot of effects to begin with, so... He's not E, I would say, but he's D. No higher or anything like that. As much as the memes are funny and all that, but I don't know. It's a tough one, man. Okay, some of you guys are saying if he's not AE, who would be? Not every list has to have like an E, though. Like, not every class has like a bottom tier character. But you know what? He might just be there anyway. Even though his MP has decent damage, that's like all he has. Kinda. So yeah. Sure. It's not a big difference to begin with, let's be real. Alright, now we go pretty far from day 1 with the next one. One of my, you know, favorites, I suppose. Avikebron. He's a cool one. You know what? I actually agreed to a compromise from chat. We're gonna do this again. I think I did this for Benkei as well. E is too harsh. But you know what? We're gonna slap him a plus. Yeah. We're just gonna slap him a plus here. There you go. Alright. There you go. There you go. There's your G-Man. Okay. Alright, Avikebron. Let's get back to this one. So, AoE Buster, probably more so of a DPS than a farmer. His battery has such a low cooldown, he's not very viable for Buster farming, sadly. But, yeah. He has some nice utility as well. So, attack, sadly, again on the low side. Unfortunate. Back to the normal caster deck. His gains also not great. Still, no great gains to be seen. Pretty much average at best. I guess he has a slightly higher potential for generating some stars with the Buster and quick and extra hit counts, but even then, don't really expect stars from him. Skills, first one, Self Arts and Buster up 3 turns, 30% each, 6 turn cooldown. It's okay. It's just okay, I would say. I wish it was 5 turns cooldown, but oh well. It's okay. Second skill, there's the battery. It's a 79.5% battery, but it's still enough. Like if you give him a 20% battery, like, and even if you have the 20% append, when you use this, I'm pretty sure you get the full MP, luckily. So I don't know why they just didn't round it to 80 here as well, because it might as well be in most cases, so kind of weird. 8 turn cooldown though is really painful. It's painful, man. It's yeah. But hey, at least he has a bit better uptime on the MP, because again, the gains are not that good to begin with. Third skill is really cool. So he gets a on death activation buff for 5 turns. So it's pretty flexible. You don't have to use it on like the turn you know he's gonna die. So even if you don't know if he's gonna die, you can activate this pretty early. And when he does perish, if he has this active, party gets invul stacks. This is actually very cool. I wish they did this more. So on every rank from 1 to 9, they get 2 hits of invul. But on rank 10, they get 3 hits of invul. So that's really good incentive to actually max the skill, because it becomes much better at that point. And also they get up to 2Ks of healing. Not that great, but this one is pretty fat. Again, it's a 3-hit, 3-turn invul. Not bad at all. In fact, I've seen this used in a lot of challenge quest setups as well. It's actually a very cool skill for utility. It's okay when he's like this, but 3 hits is even... It's just so nice, dude. It's so nice. It's like a free PFA. This is okay for gains. Not so... I guess for a bit for damage too, because it's 3. He doesn't even have any debuffs, does he? No. Right. So again, it's a lore thingy for this one. Berserker bonus is very nice. The MP used to be kind of a noodle, I'm not gonna lie, but luckily they did buff it, and also they added a secondary effect on the OC, which is very cool. So now the damage is alright actually, and even better because he gets MP damage for 1 turn, up base 20% before damage. And your party gets a bit of MP gen for 3 turns. It's not that significant though, 10% base on the OC. But now it's actually a pretty alright MP. Definitely not bad. And the MP gain actually kind of might be relevant anyway, because I wouldn't really use him for farming that much. If anything, I would use him against bosses like challenge quest, especially because the third skill is kind of useless on farm as well. So yeah, he's not bad. He's not bad by any means. He's either like the same tier as Babbage or like just under him. I don't think I can place him in A+ though. He's one of these two, I'm pretty sure. That's what I'm looking at right now. I feel like while Babbage might have better, slightly better damage potential, I like the utility that he brings. So I feel like they kind of balance each other out, you know? So, yeah. He's fine. He's alright. Wow, the last 3-star already. But a very cool one again. The casters have a lot of cool servants. We go back to another support. Asclepius. I guess healing support, but also a bit of help with looping, but not really loop support. But you know, he has a lot of stuff in his kit. So attack low side, but that's good because you want the HP to be high anyway. 10k is actually pretty solid for a 3-star. Gains, again, not great, but maybe slightly, ever so slightly better than most of the ones we've seen so far. But yeah, don't expect miracles. Still pretty okay, I would say. Skills. Targeted heal up to 5k. Pretty solid. And debuff rest 3 turns, 50%. 5-turn cooldown, it's alright. It's definitely alright. Not a bad skill. Especially among 3-stars. 100% or up to 100% MP seal for 1 enemy. And party MP generation 30% 3 turns. All of this on a 6-turn cooldown. Not bad. I like MP seal. And AoE MP gain is also good civ. So also pretty okay. And then the third skill, AoE battery 20%. And also AoE cleanse. 7-turn cooldown. They are good effects, but yeah, yeah. That's a lot of utility, man. Yeah, it's a 3-star having a 20% AoE battery. That's kind of crazy, right? Yeah. This is nice to help him get his MP more often. This doesn't really matter again. Because, you know, I mean, I guess it could, because even though this is 100% base, it doesn't factor in debuff resistance, so this can make it even easier to land, I suppose. This doesn't really matter because he's not a DPS to begin with. And the MP. So, sadly, he doesn't get a Guts himself, but his other allies get a Guts for 1 time 3 turns that revives up to 3k HP, scaling with the MP level. And party debuff immune. This one actually includes himself, which is cool. 1 time 3 turns, and then healing every turn. 1k base on OC for 3 turns. I'm not gonna lie, it's an average MP in my opinion. But it's not terrible. And in fact, I prefer him having a support MP anyway than a damage one, so... yeah, if you don't like debuffs, he's actually very solid. He's one of the best cleansers, and also pretty decent at healing as well. And also gets your team rolling a bit better with the battery and the MP gains, so... he's not the easiest to be picked. Like, if you don't need to worry about debuffs, I probably wouldn't really pick him. But, yeah, he's not bad. I don't think I can place him in EX, though. I don't think. But, you know, for a 3-star support, he has a lot of uses, for sure. Yeah. Debuffs beware, because he be healing everyone. He's solid. Right, so the rest is all the way now gold until the end. Okay. Starting with not a day 1. In fact, I just realized there's no 4-star day 1 casters, huh? Funny. Definitely year 1 though. Liz Welfare Caster. Liz Halloween. Alright, let's get the numbers up. So for 4-star, attack is low. Not terrible, but low. AoE Buster is the MP, having the standard caster dex still. Gains also the same as pretty much all the day 1 ones we saw already, so average at best. Not great. Skills. At least this one goes up over 10 stars per turn, which is not bad. And then a self 1-time heal for 2k, up to 2k. It's okay. It's not crazy, but honestly, for a non-buffed first actual welfare skill is actually fine. It's not bad. Her version of Mana Burst comes with a 10-turn burn. Again, if you want to use Honey Lake, there's another candidate, I guess. Yeah, sure. Sadly, it's not a 50% buster up, but it's not that much behind. Still an average at best skill. I guess it does become a bit more better if you do want to run Honey Lake as the CE, but yeah. Her guts used to be not bad. It was a standard guts with just 8 stars as a bonus, but now it's definitely a bit better. The burn amplifier is pretty irrelevant if you ask me. It just doesn't really do much at all. But hey, 30% battery, so that's kind of cool. She's not really a crazy good farmer right now, even with this, but you kind of could do that. I still feel like her better use is a DPS than a farmer. But hey, it's actually a pretty okay skill now, I would say. Yeah. How about that? This is fine for damage. This is, well, I guess it's mostly dots, isn't it? Yeah, it's just dots, so this is pretty irrelevant. Unless, again, you want to run Honey Lake, then you want to land the burns, so, you know, then it matters. The MP. Much like Lancer ignores defense on damage, and then the OC is just Curse. No one cares about Curse. But hey, free MP5 means the damage is not terrible. She's interesting, honestly. She's interesting. She's not as great as, like, Cinderella in what she does. Obviously, they're not even the same anyway, but... it's probably, again, between these two, if anything, nowadays. I'm not sure if I can do A, though. I'm not sure, dude. I'm not sure. She's fine, though. She's fine. But I feel like I would kind of feel bad if I put her in A. But not bad nowadays. With the Buster meta being better as well, it helps her too, obviously. But, yeah. Yeah. I feel like I'm okay with this placement for Caster Liz. Some people might say lower, some people might say higher. I'm thinking B+. Right, another support. Media Lily. Also very similar to Asclepius in that a lot of heals and cleanses, huh? Attack again, low side, but it's good because you like the 13k HP, right, on a support, so not bad. Gains again. Her hit counts are fine, but they definitely nerfed the number as well for the MP gain, so they're okay, but still not great, I would say. Still have yet to see the first caster here that actually has really nice gains. There will be some, for sure. But yeah, not too bad. I guess a lot of them still are boosted by the fact that they have triple arts, so it's way easier to participate in arts change, so that's cool. Yeah. Skills. So much like her adult form, she also has this. Now I forgot, is the cooldown the same or not? I actually have to check. Was this higher? No, it is. It's exactly the same skill, right? Makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Again, better uptime for the MP, I suppose. Which, because you kind of want the MP to be up on command, because, you know, you want it for the heals and cleanses. It's not one of those MPs you just use whenever it's up. You definitely need an opportune moment to use it. Now, again, one of the stupidest buffs I've ever seen. Shout out to Martha from last week as well, with a very similar buff. So the only thing they did for this, they just added the heal, like they made the heal bigger. I don't get it. Everything else, cooldown is the same. Poison cleanse, like what? It's definitely a lore thing, but yeah, they just made the heal go from 2k to 3k. Wow, what a buff. This would never happen in today's day and age, but oh well. It's still an okay skill. Coupled with the, especially if you have the third effect active, but I would say still pretty damn weak. So yeah, here we go, the third skill. So one ally gets up to 100% increased healing for one turn, and also I like the added buff though, it's really cool. They get buff removal resistance for 3 turns, which obviously scales up to 100%. So half the time, so you can protect someone's buffs really well. So actually, this is a good skill. It used to be bad, very bad. In fact, it used to be 8. It was that bad. Okay, thank God they brought the cooldown to 6 as well. It used to be 8 turns. You're so high. You're so high. 8 turn cooldown, single target, 1 turn healing received up. What? This used to be like one of the worst skills in the game. Now, actually, pretty good. Holy crap, I forgot how bad it used to be. So overall, her kit is not bad, but I still prefer Asclepius's kit. Now, more gains, I guess. This really, again, does nothing. It's just there for lore reasons. And then the MP has been buffed. So, comes with a full cleanse every time you use it. That's cool. And honestly, even at MP1, the healing is not bad. It's 4k. You gotta keep in mind, she is story locked, so a lot of people who have her probably have her at like MP1 or 2 or something like that. And then debuff resistance for the party. 3 turns, 40% base. Not terrible, but again, I still think I might even like Asclepius' MP more as well. So I feel like she has better stats for sure as a 4-star. But I think Asclepius might just be better. The only thing she really has going for her is this, because you have this nice utility of being able to protect someone's buffs really well. This is actually a great effect sometimes. But besides that, I feel like you would probably just pick Asclepius every time over Media Lily, even as a 3-star. But I do like the buff to the third skill. I almost just want to put like a B+, like a full tier down of Asclepius, but still very workable, even though healing is not the best defensive mechanic in the game to begin with. But I really like that targeted buff protection for 3 turns. It's actually very solid. So it's like similar that Santa Nightingale had, right? So yeah, very nice utility to have. But certainly I do prefer Asclepius in most cases. Alright, now we get a DPS. Nursery Rhyme, one of the more tragic cases in this list, I would say. AoE Arts DPS. Honestly, I'm not sure if I can call her a farmer. Sadly, I wish I could, but I think she's used more as a DPS than a farmer. Attack also a bit on the lower side. It is what it is. The standard caster deck. Her gains are actually a bit better, I would say, than most of the stuff we've seen before. Not amazing, but definitely we're getting to some of the better numbers now, at least. So they're okay, especially when she crits, and she has an easier time of critting as well because of one of the skills, so yeah, I guess not that bad in that regard. So that was the first skill, self-mod, the good old. It's actually still to this day a pretty decent crit skill in my opinion, because the uptime is that nice. 50% crit damage, 600% absorb, 3 turn each, 5 turn cooldown. Not bad, still a pretty great crit skill in my opinion. Second skill, so for 1 turn you get 30% defense, for 3 turn you get 30% defense, for the turn you activate on you have 60% increased defense, which can actually make a difference quite a bit. And even then, this is actually not bad. And debuff res, 40%, 3 turns, 5 turn cooldown. It's actually a pretty solid defensive skill. Nothing like gods or anything, but definitely on the better side of defensive skills in my opinion. And then the third skill, 40% battery. That is a weird number, man. And then heal self for 2k and cleanse self. 6 turn cooldown I feel like is somewhat fair. But man, could they have not made this like 50%? It's sometimes a bit awkward, the number. Yeah. Like overall, her kit is not terrible by any means. It's actually fine. I feel like it's fine. Beyond, thanks for the 2 months, man. Welcome back to the Go Gang. This is actually nice as well. Rank A, 10% permanent arts. Actually not bad. The MP also has been buffed, but again, it's one of these things that they only buff the damage. It does have a secondary normal effect, which is cool. It's 20% defense down for 3 turns, but it's after damage, so it's a bit awkward. But you know, it's better than none. And then I hate the OC, as you know me. I hate chance-based drain, but it is AoE, so okay. 60% base chance to drain the enemy each. Yeah. Like, you might be seeing something right now, right? She doesn't really have anything to help with her MP damage, right? None of this helps with the MP damage. This is the only thing that does. Even the defense down is after the MP damage. That's one of the awkward things about her. Her MP that doesn't hit that hard because of the lack of self buffs that matter for the MP. She has some crit potential, but even then, I don't know. She's always been one on the weaker side. I'm not sure if they're ever gonna do much with her, but I think she's weaker than Caster Liz, for sure, but not by a lot. Not by a lot by any means. Could use another buff though. Nursery Rhyme. Next one is a bit more interesting in my opinion. Sees a bit more use as well. Helena Caster, AoE Arts DPS / support. Attack, again, very much similar to Nursery Rhyme just now. Lower side, but not terrible. Gains also not terrible either. So again, we're starting to see some of the better, numbers for MP gain on casters. Definitely okay. Even Stargen with the rainbow buff active is not terrible. I mean, for a caster, it's pretty much on the better side, I suppose, but still nothing great. Skills. Now, this again, AoE battery, much like Asclepius. This one sadly doesn't have like a cleanse or anything, but AoE battery is okay. Cooldown is definitely high, so outside of farming, you will definitely feel that cooldown, sadly. Second skill was buffed, luckily, so it's pretty cool now. Now comes with a self 30% battery. So with her own skills, she now has 50%, which I like. I do hate the fact that how this works though. So it's an 80% chance to get 50% MP damage, but for 1 turn. You want to activate this turn 1 for the stars, right? Although the stars kind of suck anyway, because it's 5 stars every turn. But yeah, like, it's weird, man. It's so weird. Such a weird the double effect here with these first two. It's a lot of MP damage as well, and if you miss it, you're just gonna punch your desk if you need the MP, because chances are it might make a difference. It's a lot of damage. It's just a weird, again, so year one game design choices is just kind of odd. Third skill, AoE rainbow buff, 3 turns, 20% each. I think this could easily be 6 turns cooldown, but oh well. It's not terrible still, it's fine. Makes her role as a support even better, I suppose. So all of these skills, mostly the first and the third one, can actually help the team quite a bit. So yeah, she has a pretty okay kit synergy-wise, I would say. Some of the cooldowns are a bit brutal though. I feel like that's one of her biggest downfalls anyway, the cooldowns, sadly. This is very nice. This is actually not bad either because she has some debuffs on the MP. So yeah, that MP, it's actually good. Ignores defense was added with the buff, so it wasn't just a flat out damage buff. They actually did add another normal effect, so that's cool utility to have, I guess. Defense down AoE, crit chance down AoE, and debuffers down AoE, 3 turns each. All sadly a bit lower on the numbers on base, but you know, they're all pretty okay debuffs. I'm not the biggest fan of minus debuff resistance, that's pretty whatever. But defense down and crit chance down are always pretty welcome in every case. So it's a pretty good MP, I would say. Sadly, she doesn't really loop. That's unfortunate. But hey, she still has uses for sure, right? For sure. A pretty, you know, low spender friendly support more than a DPS, I guess. I think Helena is like an A, honestly. She's still fine to this day. Maybe could use another buff to even make her even more relevant. But still, like, there's not much wrong with her besides the longer cooldowns. Sadly can't loop though, but you know, still a fine 4-star unit. Now we go back to story locked. It's Mr. Lyad, Prezi King, whatever you want to call him. They actually didn't add that title here, which is weird. Yeah, Edison. AoE Buster DPS and a support. More like a utility support than a straight up like a normal generic support. Not a farmer, in my opinion. More so a utility DPS. Attack, sadly, very much on the low side. Below 8k for a 4-star is very unfortunate. He's story locked, and how do you get him? Maybe you rolled on Chaldea Boys or something. I don't know, you tell me. But he is story locked. That's a fact. His gains are also okay. Nothing crazy, but they're okay. Better than most day 1 servants, so that's good. Standard caster deck, which is good because he has an Arts MP as well. Now, his skills have seen some upgrades, which is cool. So the first one is now this. It's a targeted defense up 3 turns, 30%, 5 turn cooldown, not bad. And comes with a cooldown reduction of 1 for the target. I like it. Good utility. Good protection. A pretty okay skill. Not bad by any means. Second skill. Gains a bit more stars than Helena, I suppose. Both 5 turns each. Also MP gauge, 10% every turn, 5 turns. But the downside is 10 turn cooldown. Now the uptime is still half, but it really starts to feel worse when the downtime is also 5 turns, right? So yeah, it's an okay skill, but you're gonna be feeling that downtime after you're gonna live the high of that uptime. Not really a high to begin with, it's just okay. It's not like it gives you the most stuff. But yeah, could use like an Arjuna treatment or something. One of the longest cooldowns still to remain in this game, I'm pretty sure. And the third skill, so it's again a targeted skill which overcharges the target's MP 2 times, or 2 stages rather, for 1 turn, and gives them just a pretty measly 30% star gen for 1 turn. 6 turn cooldown. Now you better hope the target has really good OC, otherwise this is hardly worth it in my opinion. Obviously if you give it to like Castoria, you don't even care about the star gen, you're just gonna care about 2 additional stacks of special invul, which is broken as hell. But yeah, not the most useful skill in my opinion, because a lot of the cases the OC is not even that great for a lot of servants. So yeah, you could help Chen Gong do more damage, I suppose, but yeah, his kit is fine, but nothing crazy, it's just Sadly, he wishes he had EX ranks, but realistically they are D ranks, so, you know, I wish this was higher, but oh well. This is fine, because his MP has a lot of debuffs, actually, much like Helena. And in fact, I actually prefer his MP to Helena's MP. So this is a great MP. Good damage after the buff. AoE skill seal. Not the greatest, but AoE MP seal. I like that. And also crit chance down and attack down. Much like Helena, 10% each, but yeah. It's a good MP, man. It's good for delay as well with the MP seal. I like that. Great MP. Sadly, hard to get MP levels with him because, as I mentioned, he is story locked. So a lot of people, if they have him, again, probably MP 1 or 2 at most. In fact, mine is actually 2, fun fact. But yeah. He's one of those servants that's not bad on paper, right? Like, he can provide some good additional utility and a bit more DPS and stalling, but he's like one of the, he's like kind of hard to slot into a team, honestly. I'm still gonna place him on B, because I feel like he has good potential in some comps, but not many comps. Definitely not that many comps. But he's alright. But in a lot of cases, you might want to pick someone else instead. But when he does work, he kind of works fine. Yeah. I don't think there's really too much wrong with him. Just a bit too specific, if anything, is the problem. There you go. Is this the second welfare? Wow, it took a while, but yeah, here it is. If I can find her, I'm blind. Alright. Iris Feel. Oh, so we already saw Asclepius and Media Lily. This one will be a bit sad in comparison. So attack. You probably prefer the attack to be lower, but whatever. It's okay. Now, if anyone's ever used her, you know how bad her gains are. Man, they're bad. They're just bad, bad, bad. Oh my. Yeah, it's really... it's a pain to get her MP. And even the MP itself is not even that great. Yikes. Now the skills, okay. So unlike Media Lily, she doesn't increase the healing someone receives. She increases the healing she does for 1 turn. But sadly, this hasn't been buffed. And it's half the number. And almost as high on cooldown. Like, what is this skill, dude? What is this skill? It's so bad. I know she has quite a bit of healing, but even then, 7 turns to make your heals half better for 1 turn? That's so bad. Like, that's so terrible, dude. Now, second skill. Does it get any better? Maybe a little bit, honestly. Because it's still the standard 1 turn invul and a 6 turn cooldown. MP gen 30% 3 turns. So at least with this, her gains are not trash, like complete garbage. But even then, yeah, And then the third skill, it's just a single target heal, 5 turn cooldown. So this is just so much worse than Asclepius, right? Who also had the single target heal for 5k. But also cleanse, right? Like, it's so outdated and bad. So bad, dude, so bad. This is okay, I guess. It helps a little bit with the gains, but they're still not great. This is actually nice. 20% debuff res, I like that. And then the MP, 3k party heal, and everyone gets a 1x 3 turn 1k HP base guts. That is weak. What could I say? That is weak. Oh right, it wasn't the cleanse on Asclepius, it was debuff res, you're right. I mixed it up with the other effects, because, you know, he does a lot of stuff. Not just the cleanse, he does a lot of stuff. The only case where you would use Irie is one of those stupid, boring solos that take like 3 hours. And even then, she can't even do it on everything. It's like pretty limited too. That's like the only time you would kind of pick her, you know? Like otherwise, unless you have her grailed, you would not pick her for gameplay reasons. By any means. Dicking us on CQ and Aerofest. Well, now you would have... Well, maybe back then, Pavel, but I'm talking nowadays standards. You would have way more better options for that too nowadays as well. I would not even prio her as a pick there either. Definitely not. I almost want to put her next to, like, Geronimo. Is that too cruel? Maybe a D, because free M... Even then, the MP, even at free MP5, it doesn't do much. I don't know. One of them might be the worst welfare in the game, honestly. Might just be. Might just be the worst. I honestly just want to do this, honestly. Again, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. There you go. I'm gonna place her there. Poor Iris feel. Tragic in everything. Much like Hiritsugu. Alright, next one is a cool one. Nito Chris. AoE arts DPS slash farmer. Honestly, more of a farmer than DPS for sure. Especially nowadays with the append skill being a thing as well. And everything else. Although she doesn't really need it, the append if you max it. But I digress. Attack is pretty average, but not bad. It's alright for a 4-star. Gains are also not terrible if you do need them. For the face cards, they're actually fine as well. Then we got the kit. They did buff this, which is cool. I actually like this now. So it comes with the insta-kill success rate up for 3 turns. Which is actually a kind of demerit in farming. Because she's one of those servants, sadly, that does her insta-kill before damage. So you could already scrap looping. That's not happening. It's way too inconsistent. But I'm going to explain to you a reason why you can use her still for 3-turn farming, luckily, so she's not a completely lost cause like some others that insta-kill before damage. But now this also comes with a party arts up, or not party, self arts up 20% 3 turns. So again, mostly for damage in this case, because again, she's not really a looper because of the inconsistency with the insta-kill. But yeah, it's a nice damage buff, I suppose. And party heal 3k. All of this on a 5-turn cooldown, like as a skill, it's actually not terrible. It's alright. It's alright for sure. And the second skill, most people leave this at level 8, right? Because it's 100% battery. And it's even easier to do that once you get the append, I suppose, later. But yeah, it works for the farm, I guess. Besides that, it's the standard high turn cooldown that we've seen before as well. Third skill. Her defensive option, 1-time guts, 3 turns, 5 turns, so it's pretty standard for a 3-turn guts, but also comes with an added benefit of removing own debuffs, I guess. So it's just a better version of a standard guts of this type, but still pretty average at best. This is very nice, mostly for damage. This is fine, because honestly, if you do need to land her debuffs on the MP, they're not bad from what I remember, so yeah. And the MP, here we go. So yes, she does carry the same 20% crit chance down for 3 turns on normal effect, well, as we saw earlier as well. It's good if you want to use her against bosses, but for farming it doesn't really matter too much. Now the OC is actually a demerit. It is what it is. Unless you're not farming, then it might be a merit. But yeah, most of the time it tends to be a demerit. Show the FA. You guys are so coomers, man. Okay, there you go. 5 seconds and then it's gone. Alright. So yeah, so as I said, because of this one ruining looping, it's way too inconsistent to make it work, sadly. She can still do this. Like if you bring like double Castoria, you turn 1, you use your append and this, right? Or you actually, no, turn 1, you use Castoria skills, right? Wait, no, first turn is append, right? Yeah, first turn is append with your battery, right? And then you do Castoria. Yeah, it's a K-scope setup, right? Yeah, so it's very doable, but it's not the easiest thing, because it would be easier if she could loop, right? Yeah, so with K-scope append, that's what you do turn 1. Then turn 2, you do Castoria buffs. And then turn 3, you add this. So there you go. That's Nito Chris farming, basically. Not the easiest to do, but it's very doable, I would say. So at least she's not hopeless, even though she cannot really loop. I guess, yeah, you could do the Witch one as well, one guy, but, you know, that's a lot less damage, obviously. But yeah, you could do that to meet the ends for your gauge, but still. I feel like Nito Chris is just like an A, honestly. I could maybe even see an A+, but I almost just want to place her in A. If she could loop, she would probably be here. Maybe even here. But man, that insta-kill is unfortunate. It is unfortunate. Some people really want to see A+ on that one, huh? I don't know, man. don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I can't do it, sorry. I'm gonna keep her in A. But you know what? If someone wants to place her here, I'm okay with that. But I'm gonna place her in A. There you go. Alright, we have a summer... Is this... Wait, is it first summer unit? Is that true? Wow. Most other lists had summer units way faster than this. Summer Marie. If I remember correctly, she's arts, right? I haven't really used her much at all. I don't think she's particularly great, but yeah, 9k attack. Again, pretty okay, similar to like Nidacris. Also full arts tech. Gains, well, she has 5-hitter arts, which is not bad. They're not bad either, honestly. The MP gain obviously was gimped because of these numbers, but yeah. Overall, definitely better gains than most we've seen so far. First skill is your good old dude charisma. These year 1 servants love this skill, man. The summer ones. So it's just a slightly better version of charisma if you happen to run male allies for more star generation. But besides that, it's, I would say, a below average skill still. Second skill. Stars every turn for 3 turns. 10 per. And HP 1k every turn for 3 turns. But why the hell is this a 7-turn cooldown? Well, it makes no sense, dude. It makes absolutely no sense for this to be a 7-turn cooldown. It would be average at 5. It is horrible at 7. It would be great if it was 5 turns and maybe a 1 more effect, or maybe the numbers are higher. What is this skill, man? What is this skill? It is horrible. It's fine when it's up, but the downtime is higher than the uptime, which makes no sense because the uptime is not that great anyway. Well, this is good at least. At least she has the trademark Marie defensive skill, so, you know, 3-hit invul, no duration, 6-turn cooldown. That's pretty top tier if you ask me. And then debuff rest 3 turns, 50%. Also, nice. It's alright. So yeah, at least this is great. She has a really amazing defensive skill. How about that? Good old Marie. This is fine, actually. I like this. She has good arts cards, so this is great. Does she even have any debuffs? Oh, she does. Okay. Not a big help, though, but it's there, I guess. So the MP, much like some of the previous ones, also has 20% crit chance down. 20%... Oh, I said that already. 3 turns on AoE on normal effect. And then after damage, party gets some crit damage for 3 turns. But obviously, as she's a summer servant, they really haven't ever buffed the MP. And if you've been paying attention, this is really all she has for damage boost, so she doesn't really do that much damage, does she? Yeah, and the kit itself is on the weaker side too. It's not the worst I've seen, but also on the weaker side. Yeah, like maybe a bit potential being a male crit support, I guess. But even then, she's like, do the half of the work yourself, so I don't know. Yeah. I was never really a big fan of Marie Summer. I think she's below Edison and Nursery, honestly, maybe. No, Gion, I don't. Yeah, I feel like she might be just below Nursery and Edison, because keep in mind she's also limited, so, you know, a lot of people that have her might have low MP levels and the damage just isn't gonna be that great. Oh well. Not terrible. Usable, but you probably have better options, chances are, if you happen to have her, which is, she's actually very rare nowadays. Now we get some better stuff. Okay, Caster Gilgamesh. AoE buster, DPS, and support. Attack, a bit on the lower side, but still way above 8k is still solid. Good old caster deck again. Gains are fine as well. Obviously, they had to nerf it for the MP because of the ridiculous hit count. But yeah, and also because of that, he cannot loop, sadly. But, you know, he has a lot of uses regardless. I'm probably placing him more of a... Like, he can be placed, like, as a DPS for bosses or like a support for bosses. I wouldn't really use him as like a DPS for farming or a support for farming that much. Let me hide it a little bit. I feel like he's better like just a support for bosses, if anything. But I guess you could bring him to some farming. Alright. So upstairs, not too bad. Now, this is a cool skill, I guess. Party Starging up 100% for 3 turns. The cooldown is very hefty, though. Sadly, it should be 6 turns. I don't know why it's 7 turns. But this is a funny skill in the fact that because of his MP having an insane hit count, and despite being arts, with this up, he can actually generate a lot of stars with arts cards. It's actually quite funny. So it actually has good value for himself too. And potentially can help your allies as well. So it's an okay skill for sure. Even with the annoyingly long cooldown. Good old Gil A+ charisma. Not much to say about it. Pretty basic in this day and age. Like even Lonling has a better version. Being a very similar character. It's not terrible, but it's not amazing. Then the third skill. His best skill. Party Arts up 30%, 3 turns, 6 turn cooldown. And also debuff success rate up. An okay 30%. Still to this day a pretty solid skill, honestly. Not bad. Works for himself quite well too. I see you, Ash. But yeah, he's not the biggest fan of longer fights because his cooldowns are not the greatest. But you know what? That's a lot of supporting. 3 AoEs is nice. More debuff success rate up, which is okay because he still has a bit of it on his MP as well. This is very nice because his arts cards are ridiculously good. This is just more tickling as usual. The MP was buffed, which is very cool. Now does actually quite a bit damage. Also increases party's defense 20% for 3 turns flat. I like that quite a bit. And the buff also added crit damage 30%, 3 turns for party, which again makes a lot of sense because of how much stars the MP itself generates more often than not. Sadly, the AoE defense down for 3 turns is after damage, but still, I think it's a great MP. Again, mostly for bosses, not so much for farming, but for bosses. And because it's 10 hits, they obviously had to reduce the gain, so even with that, he cannot loop. But he's still very solid, in my opinion. I still think I might prefer Lonling over him, though, honestly. In most of the cases. But he's not bad. One of the A's for sure. I think Lonling was A+. Now, am I gonna think Lonling is so much better that I would place him here? I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. I feel like he could still be A+, honestly. He still works quite well. But not so much for farming necessarily. I would still maybe like to see a buff to the first or the second skill though, honestly. Yeah. I do stand by the fact that I think Lonling might be more usable, but I still think I could probably place them in the same tier. The difference isn't that big usually, so... yeah. But I could maybe I'll shift it later, but for now I'll keep it in A+. Right, someone who's pretty relevant on NA right now, I suppose. Kirke. Now again, some people were annoyed at my pronunciation, I'm sorry. If you want to say Cersei or whichever, that's fine, but I've used, because Japanese it's Kirke, okay? I'm just, yeah, okay. Apparently it's not even close to the original Greek pronunciation, but you know what? I've been saying this for the longest time anyway. But by all means, you call her Cersei, that's fine. I'm not gonna be mad about that, but I'm gonna say Kirke, pretty much. So what do we got? AoE, or not AoE, definitely not. Single target buster DPS. So, in fact, let me check. Is this the first single target caster? Wait a minute. Oh no, Media. No, yeah, obviously Media was first. Wow, I forgot how long it took for them to add a second one. Wow. That took a long while. Although, yeah, with Media's modifiers, we can't really call her a, you know, standard single target DPS anyway, right? So, attack is, again, on the lower side, but, you know, casters tend to be on this side rather than the positive side. It is what it is. Has still the normal caster deck despite having a Buster MP. Gains are not great. They're average-ish, I would say. They're not terrible, but not great either. But Triple Arts is nice. So much like Media, again, the same exact skill. There it is. But at least her MP has normal modifiers, so that's cool. It's alright. Uptime for MP is better. Now, AoE Poison. No one cares. But also comes with the defense down 20%. And it's 5 turns of cooldown, so it's okay. It's just okay. If they ever make a CE that's similar to Honey Lake, but for poison, this skill definitely gets more value. But as is, average at best. I think my brother is coming home, excuse the dog. Now, Party Crit Star Generation 3 turns, so much like Casgil, but sadly half the number. But also comes with a cleanse, and it's lower cooldown, so in many cases this could be more useful, honestly. It depends. This is okay, but still not great, I would say. Still not great. So overall her kit is not massive, and again, if you see something besides the defense down, that's basically it for damage, right? So, yeah. Nursery rhyme intensifies. Anyway, Arts Up is very nice. This is actually not bad either because it helps with the important debuff of the MP. And then the MP. So again, even the MP doesn't really have anything going for it to help the damage, I suppose. So, we get the unique stun mechanic, the Pigify. The only one in the game. So it's basically a stun, but you know, it's weaker than stun, that it doesn't work against everyone, sadly. But I guess it also bypasses like stun resistances and whatnot because of that. But stun is probably still better most of the time. But hey, at least it's a 100% base chance, so that's good. Removes offensive buffs. So this is after damage, but because it's only offensive ones, it doesn't really matter that much then, I suppose. I really wish they just made a full debuff strip, if anything. And with the buff, the damage is actually fine as well. But again, she doesn't really have like damage buffs, so it's still a bit awkward, if anything. And then reduces the enemy's crit chance for 3 turns. I wish this was like 20% base, because it's single target to begin with. Oh well. Yeah, it's an alright MP. The MP itself is not really the problem. It's actually pretty good, but like, as you can see, she doesn't really have that much damage. But you know, she has normal modifiers on the MP, so that already helps a lot. But still, definitely not among the best single target casters. B+ after the MP buff. Mostly because again, even though she's not among the top single target casters, you gotta keep in mind, even on 2022, there's not that many single target casters. In fact, there's like one new here. In like, the last one before that was like 3 years ago, so yeah. Damn. So a bit bonus points for that. But hey, at least, funnily enough, they happen pretty much at the same time. So another single target caster in Queen of Sheba. Here we go. I guess it's Sheba. I think it's Sheba, but I've always said Sheba, so forgive me. Whatever. At least Japanese tends to imply Sheba, but whatever. Single target arts DPS with some utility as well. Attack. Very similar to Kirike just now, not that high, but you know, can't expect miracles from these casters. Double arts, double buster this time. I actually kind of like that because she has some crit stuff on her kit, so I'm actually not too mad about that deck. Gains are, they're alright. Not bad either, honestly. They're fine. They are fine. So, not too bad here, I suppose. Charisma B-. Again, average at best, maybe. Yeah. But it could be worse, you know? Could always be worse than a charisma. Second skill, self-crit damage, 100%, and also ignore invul for 1 turn. Big up our downtime, though. And a problem is that, you know, she doesn't really have any absorb, sadly. It's kind of unfortunate. Because caster, absorb is not that great on base. It loses to a lot of classes. But you know, the third skill helps a little because it has a 10-star bomb. They should scale too because of the cooldown being like this. So it's again, sell party, arts, and buster up 3 turns, 20% each. That's not bad. But I wish this was like 20 stars. This could easily be 20 stars or something like that. Yeah. So overall, there's actually, unlike Kirike, there's actually quite a bit of damage in her kit, I suppose. But for whatever reason, I still think she doesn't do good damage. And when I remember in a discussion thread a long time ago, I said she needs an MP buff because her MP is a sponge. People told me I'm crazy, but I still don't think her damage is good. She needs an MP buff. Anyway, this is nice also for the MP, and this is very nice actually. A lot of casters don't even have this, so debuff res is always nice against bosses. So yeah, the MP. No other normal effect, just flat unbuffed damage, and then all of these after damage, which is defense down, attack down, and healing rate 3 turns each. So yeah, like, do you guys think she does good damage? I doesn't. I think the MP is a noodle most of the time, even if her kid does have some damage buffs. They need to buff this MP, man. They need to buff it. It just doesn't do good damage. Like, I remember people told me I was crazy, that they said that she does really good damage. I was like, what are you talking about? Have you tried using her? Like, her kit on paper isn't bad or anything like that. Like, even the numbers are fine. I just feel like an MP buff would solve her biggest issue, which is, again, her damage is pretty lackluster in my opinion. So, besides that, I kind of like the stuff she has going for her. But I might even place her below Kirike, honestly, because she's also story locked, which doesn't help with the MP being low damage, because it's harder to get MP copies as well. And the crit DPS is fairly inconsistent as well, because it's 1 turn every 5 turns and you don't even have absorb to begin with. So, yeah. I would probably pick Kirike most of the time over her, to be honest. Please buff her MP though. Would help a lot. I add some cool normal effect as well, because there's nothing on normal effect here. I guess the special icon happens now. Shout out to my emote. Alright. Alright. Sieg. The next welfare. Definitely an upgrade from Iris Feel, I guess. So, AoE arts, definitely a farmer. I guess you can bring him to bosses, but let's be real. He's so much better at farming than he is at DPSing against bosses. Attack, a bit on the lower side, but oh well. Free MP5 helps, I suppose. Double arts, double buster deck. If anything, that's good, because that probably means that he can have a better MP gain for the MP itself. Probably why the MP actually does refund as much as it does. So yeah, because of that, I think the deck is fine. Gains otherwise are not that great. It's mostly his MP that does it. Like, his face cards are not that great for that. They're not horrible, but they pale in comparison to the MP itself. So the skills. This is very important. MP gain self 3 turns 30%. Very important for farming, right? Helps a lot. And I guess only max HP up 3 turns 2k. Okay, whatever. As a skill, it's alright, but as a farming skill, it's really nice. For sure. Second skill. I wish this was 3 turns, but oh well. 1 turn mana burst for arts. A low 36%. It's mostly for damage, because he doesn't really need it for the looping, I suppose. And then the third skill. 30% battery and dragon damage. 100% for 1 turn. Again, the battery can be useful, but again, a lot of times you don't need it for the looping anyway. You just don't really need it. So the kit is, honestly, overall, it's not great, but he doesn't luckily need it for his main purpose most of the time anyway too much. Mostly for this, if anything, and then a bit more damage here. You don't really even need this. Crit damage, why not? It doesn't really make sense, but you know, lore reasons, I guess. This is nice though, arts up, and then, you know, debuff res if you want to bring him against bosses ain't bad, I suppose. I would have preferred higher arts if this was the cost, but oh well. And then the MP. It's like the basic of the basic MPs. No other normal effect, but free MP VOD is nice, and then at least the defense down for 3 turns is before damage, and it's a solid 20%, so it's a good OC at least. And, yeah, despite the MP only being a 3-hitter, his MP gain is so nice, and then we couple with this and some support buffs. His MP is actually really, really good for looping. As much as I hate this guy, he's a really good farmer, man. One of the premier loopers in the game. As much as I hate him, dude. He's definitely between A+ and EX. I can't decide, though. I feel like sometimes the damage might be slightly lacking. Sometimes. So I don't know. But besides that, he's a great looper, man. What do you guys think? Honestly, among casters, he might be the best looper for arts at least. But even then, I'm not sure if I'm gonna place the others in EX anyway. Probably not, actually. I honestly, I guess I could do this because I feel like a lot of the other ones might end up here or here, and I do feel like his farming is better. So you know what? As much as I hate him, I can't deny that, you know, he's insanely accessible, and two, he's really good at the thing he does the best, so yeah. Sieg. Goddamn. So, another welfare immediately. Shoot and caster. Single target buster DPS. So again, another ST. This 1 year was pretty good for STs, and then they took a long break again, pretty much. Damage or attack is actually high, very high for a 4-star caster. Might honestly be like a top tier one for that, so that's cool. Still has the triple RC. Also, can someone skip this song? I would like to listen to music. I didn't want to talk about the songs because it makes no sense in YouTube, but Daryl, can you please yeet this fucking song? I want to listen to music, not someone swearing. Okay. Jesus. Okay. Anyway. So, yeah, the standard caster deck. Her gains are actually not bad. They're fine. Totally fine, which is good, because you want the gains to be good, because her MP is actually the thing you want to use as often as you can on her, because it actually does decent damage. So it's not too bad. Single target MP seal, I like, and crit chance down 3 turns, 50%, I really like. So this is a really good skill against bosses, honestly. You might think it looks basic and bad, even on a 6-turn cooldown, but this is solid. Ooh, I like this skill. This is good, man. Second skill, self arts and buster up 30%. Sadly, only 1 turn and then absorb up 1 turn. This should be a 5-turn cooldown. This sadly is on the weaker side for sure. Yeah, I like that at least the effects have synergy, you know, because they're all offensive, so, you know, it's only going to improve your turn, chances are. But, man, it is not worth 5 turns of downtime. For sure, no. But I've seen worse skills, I suppose. In fact, it would probably make more sense for her to be double buster, you know, that I realize it. Yeah, because she has crit potential and her MP is also buster. But oh well. So again, just a better version of charisma. It's the same for the attack, but then self-demonic damage 3 turns, 50%. And demonic is one of the more common traits, I suppose. Even a lot of bosses can have it, so it's an average-ish skill, maybe slightly higher. It's just a bit better per charisma because it's a niche. So overall, I like that the kit is very offensive and also has this very nice utility for bosses, so not bad, especially for a welfare. This is nice, I guess, because she does have the triple arts. This is cool to make sure your important debuffs land. This doesn't really matter too much. Berserker bonus is actually very solid. I like that. And the MP. At least it has some bonus normal effect of ignoring evasion for 1 turn before damage. Poison sucks though. I always hate dots. I hate dots. The only one that's ever worth anything is burn. Because of Honey Lake existing. But besides that, every other dot sucks. Unless the servant themselves have a bonus to it, but she doesn't, so. But you know what? Free MP5 means that the MP actually still blasts quite a bit and also high attack for a 4-star. Not bad. She's basic, but she's solid. I think she's like an A, honestly. I would place her above Kirke for sure. Honestly, someone said A+, but I think just an A for me personally, though. I think she is better than Kirke, though. But not like a full tier above or anything like that. But yeah, she's solid, very solid. Good job, shooting. Oh yeah, ignore the icons here for a couple of these because of certain jacks. Right, so the next one. I'm glad I get to see this now after the buff because, yeah, before the buff, yikes. So Miu. A very interesting case. Support caster again. Like a mini Merlin, I guess. I suppose. So attack again. If anything, I would prefer it to be lower because you don't need her to do damage to begin with. But at least it's still lower than average. In favor of more HP. Triple arts makes sense. Gains. Not great, not terrible. Actually, they're fine. Now that I think about it, yeah, they're actually not bad. Self arts up 3 turns. I hate this. Why is it self? This should be targeted. I mean AoE in best case, but this should be targeted. Why? And self crit damage. 3 attacks, 3 turns. Like the uptime is fine and the numbers are okay, but why is it self? Why? Why? Bad start. Self guts 1 time 3 turns and self debuff immune 1 time 3 turns. I like the synergy of defensive effects. 6 turn cooldown is a somewhat hefty, but you know, this one doesn't matter too much if it's self because you want her to be able to protect herself a little as well, I suppose. But they could have done a better option for the defensive one too, I suppose. And the third skill, at least this one is targeted. So it's a 30% battery for one ally and their buff success rate up goes 40%, which basically is for Ilya servants. So 6 turn cooldown though? It's hard to swallow, dude. It really is. Man. Like, her MP nowadays is actually really good. But man, are her skills awkward for supporting, man. Like, what the hell, dude? What? I hate the skills, man. Magic Risby is solid, and this is very nice to have more MP uptime. And the MP used to be, like, not that great, but... So not only did they remove the horrible demerit that just caused her to kill herself slowly, they added stuff. So for 3 turns, she herself gains this buff that does all of what you're gonna see here. So every turn your party gets 10% MP gauge for 3 turns. Every turn your party gets a 3-turn attack buff for 3 turns every turn. So again, it's also a scaling effect. So it's not just like a 1-turn attack buff. You're gonna get 3 of these from every MP. And they last 3 turns. It's kind of cool. Especially if you have higher MP levels, that's a lot of value. But yeah, that's a nice addition. And then they also up the healing, right? Yes, okay, so even the healing per turn is now higher, which is cool. The stars per turn is still the same. It's pretty low, but you know, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff, man. So yeah, her MP is actually really solid now. Definitely on the better end of supporting MPs, I would say. Especially among 4 stars, is really good. But I hate her skills, man. I hate these skills. They don't help too much. They don't really help too much. God damn it, dude. Wasted potential is what she is. But you can absolutely still make use of her. I'm not still sure if I can even place her in A, honestly. I don't know. But I do really like the MP. I think the MP is so good. Fuck. Oh my god. I don't know what to do with Miyu, dude. Just make the first skill at least targetable or something. I don't know. B is too low after the MP buff in my opinion. But I'm not sure if I can go to A. A might be too much for me. Yeah. Yeah, I can't go to A. I just hate the skills. They're not the worst ever, but for support of what she's supposed to do, they're just awkward as hell. B+. Okay, we're nearing the end of 4 stars, and we're gonna... this is a nice one. Oh boy. Summer 6. Charlotte Caster. Single target arts DPS. In fact, she's the only one of the arts ones, right? Yes. Very interesting. Alright, attack a bit on the lower side, but it is what it is. Full arts deck, love it. Gains are actually pretty good. She's like a train that never ends, is all I'm gonna say already here. So, you know, pretty solid here. Skills, self arts up 30%. Now, in this case, it obviously makes more sense to be self. Looking at you, Miyu. Yeah, not bad. Also, AoE confusion on the enemy, 3 turns. So every turn, there's a 30% chance to skill seal them for 1 turn. Also, a Harp of Healing effect for party, 1 evasion for 1 attack. 1 turn. Now, normally this wouldn't be the best skill ever. It's definitely a lot better now. The skill seal has so much, it makes way more sense here than it does for someone else. You'll see soon if you didn't know. But yeah, with that in mind, that the skill seal is actually going to be very useful. It's a pretty solid skill, I would say. Pretty good. Then the second skill. There it is again. Targeted skill seal for 1 turn. So just flat out, boom, skill seal. Also stars per turn. 10 per turn for 3 turns. And party MP damage, 20% 3 turns. I like that this is actually more than 1 turn, because she can easily get like consecutive MPs off as an arts DPS, so that's cool. Definitely a decent skill because of this skill seal having more value in her as well. Third skill, self battery, 30%, and 1 ally, 30%. But you can also do this on herself for 60%. I like the flexibility. So at least she's gonna get half of it, but you can get the full as well if you need it. Like sometimes, like, oh, I need Castoria MP this turn, boom, have some, but it's also gonna charge me too. That's cool. It's pretty good. I like the flexibility, man. Pretty good. This is cool. Arts up and then crit damage of arts. I obviously probably would have preferred more arts than the crit damage one, but it's okay. At least it's an arts buff. Debuff success rate up is good because again you want these skill seals to land. You'll see why in a second. And then star generation, honestly for her is not terrible. She actually has good hit counts despite having a triple arts and an arts MP obviously, but still it's not bad. And then the MP. So a flat 20 star bomb is solid. And then damage modifier against skill sealed enemies with the good numbers, the good damage modifier numbers. So yeah, that's a potentially hard hitting MP, one that she can herself in. So it's a niche she enables herself, and she can do it in 2 skills. Keep that in mind. That's good. That's very good. And with her numbers, and with this active as well especially, her MP is very spammable actually. And even with no upgrade to the MP, just this, it just does a lot of damage. It does more damage than an upgraded MP. Like, a lot of people call her, like, the best single target caster in the game. I might honestly agree. Even better than the 5 stars. Which really says a lot. It really says a lot. Dude, Summer 6 was really good for, most of servants from Summer 6 are kind of nuts. In terms of power level, Summer 6 was probably the best of all summer events so far. Kind of ridiculous. So yeah, with this skill active and the MP, you get 30 stars. This is kind of ridiculous. Making this spam even easier when you crit with these arts cards and whatnot. Honestly, she just might be EX, honestly. She's that good. I play Summer Anastasia and EX as well, right? In that case, I should probably do this too. If that's the case. So, yeah. One of the better summer units in the game. It's nice that it's Charlotte as well, because her assassin counterpart is very sad in my opinion in terms of gameplay. So it's nice that she actually gets to shine as well. Very, very cool. Very strong. Top tier single target caster. Now the last caster for 4 stars is our beloved Santa Martha. This is a really weird case in my opinion. So she's a support, but she also has a quick MP. Is weird, man. It's kind of weird. Now she also has a double quick deck, so I guess she could do a quick chain as well. She's very interesting and very different to most other casters. Attack on the low side, but that's good because she's a support anyway. Gains are also not terrible, honestly. They're fine, so there's not really anything wrong with that either. So upstairs is fine. It's like the Rhinus deck as well, which, you know, can work still for a support. So, the skills. Single target attack up, 30% 3 turns. Max HP 2k 3 turns, and 20% battery. It's an alright skill for sure. It's okay. Pretty good supporting for one ally. Not too bad. 6 turn cooldown is, I think, somewhat fair for that. AoE MP seal, I like. AoE defense down 3 turns, 20%, I like. 6 turn cooldown, I think is again pretty fair. Not a bad skill either, honestly. I like the utility and the damage boost. And another targeted skill. This one sadly only a 1 turn absorb, but it's 5k for the absorb. So whoever you target, they're definitely gonna get every star in the field. Every single one. Even if they're like an Avenger. 10 star bomb. I wish that scaled as well from like 10 to 20. Oh well. And also she charges herself, not the target this time, but herself 30%. The uptime is pretty big on a 1 turn effect though, but oh well. Still not terrible, I would say. So the kit itself is actually not bad for skills. Decent, like, supporting for, you know, damage. You know, even better if the target is a crit servant. This is fine for more gains. This is also, I guess, fine in this case because there's 2 of these for more gains. And this doesn't really matter too much, honestly. And then the MP. Here's the thing. I hate that the scaling effect is niche. Like, the normal effect before that is a base 20% attack up for 3 turns. Which, again, is okay. But then the scaling effect is niche damage for the party for 3 turns for against them demon, divine, or undead. Undead is already very rare. Demon? Is that a mistake or is that supposed to be demonic? If this is actually demon instead of demonic, then yeah, it is actually demon because it's the same as Summer Martha. Okay, that's also terrible. Divine at least has some use. Divine is solid. That's a pretty common trait. But besides that, undead and demon kind of suck. It's not even demonic, it's just straight up demon. And then party, a base 2k heal on OC. It's a weak MP, but I've seen worse, I guess. And it's quick as well, which is pretty funny, actually. She's okay, but again, with this, in her case, I have a hard time figuring out when you would want to bring her, though. It's kind of hard to justify her. She's still fine. I like that they're giving like more of these easily accessible support options, but it's gonna be hard to like bringing her over some other options. I don't know. I do like her kit though. I do like the kit though. I can't go higher than an A though, at least. A at most. At most an A. I don't know. Probably, again, between these two, if anything. I do like solid supporting options that are free, I guess. So, you know what? I'll go with the A. Maybe. Somewhat generous. Maybe. But, you know. At least she's a fine option if you don't have a lot of the good ones. Alright, the final row, and it's all 5 stars, huh? A lot of supports as well. The first one is an interesting one. A classic. Waver. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce his Chinese name because I never knew how that was pronounced, but, you know, Mr. Juku Juku. So, he's a damage, generic, and or crit support. He's like a lot of things. Generic support is what he is. Now, numbers wise, again, you prefer the attack to be lower than average, which it is, so in favor of more HP, so that's good. The standard deck again, so again, the gains are not great. Unless you like get like an overkill arts crit, you're not really going to be seeing huge gains from Waver. But they're not terrible, I suppose. Alright, the skills. So it's all about the gauges for Mr. Waver, right? Yeah, so targeted, crit damage up 50%, 3 turns and a 5 turn cooldown. It's pretty solid. It's like a targetable self mod without the absorb, but you know, instead of that you get 30% MP gain or gauge, so that's cool. This is the best version of this skill, so it's really good. 30% defense up for 3 turns is really solid. And 500 damage, not the biggest, but it's alright on top of that. And then AoE, 10% battery. 6 turn cooldown is very fair in my opinion. And then the same, but for offense. Attack up 30%, 3 turns. This really is even worse than the damage cut though. This will pretty much never really make any difference. This additional bonus damage. And then the 10% battery as well, so... AoE across the board, 20%. And 50 for one guy. Yeah, that's Waver. Now, again, this is fine. I like that. This is also actually okay. Helps with the stun on his MP. And then the MP. Used to be pretty not great. Still not the best, but a lot better. I love the guaranteed drain for what it's worth. That's cool. Very nice. Debuff resistance cannot alter that, by the way, in case someone didn't know. It's not considered a debuff, so it's going to go through unless somehow the enemy cannot be reduced their gauge. Curse, who cares? 6 turns, 1k damage, no one cares. High chance to apply the defense down, even on MP1. Solid 30% for 3 turns, so it's actually not bad. I wish the stun was a bit more consistent. It's 50% on base for the OC. But yeah, it's not a bad MP by any means. But here's the thing. I was debating myself with waivers so much yesterday. I am always torn between now A plus and EX. Here's the thing. Now that Rhinus' MP got buffed as well, I think Rhinus is just better than waiver in 90% of challenge quests nowadays. If you have Rhinus, you would basically pick her always over waiver for a challenge quest. Now, you can still use waiver for farming as well. He's obviously not really going to be the best option ever, but you know, 50% battery is 50% battery, right? So, yeah, I'm just always, I'm in my head, I go back and forth with this stuff. I just go back and forth and back and forth. If you think waiver is better after the MP buff, Zeltrek, you need a wake-up call, man. You need a wake-up call. He is so much worse than Rhinus now for challenge quests. You are absolute. Stop smoking weed, man. Unless you can do it legally, then don't stop. But yeah, he's still a very good generic support nonetheless. Like, maybe I can still place him in EX. Goddamn, dude. This man. Like, he's still so accessible. You can even pick him with a free ticket. And he can kind of be in any party ever, right? That already has a lot of value. He's not tied to any card type. So I can probably, even in this day and age, still kind of give him the EX. But I almost want to go to A+. But sure, okay. Just because of how flexible and usable and accessible he is. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Rhinus steals stars. You think Rhinus is worse because she steals stars occasionally? Oh, that was your argument? Okay, don't talk to me. Okay. Let's not even... Okay. No. 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 That is a fact for sure, but you think waiver is better because of Rhinus taking some stars? Okay. 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 Anyway, this is one of my favorites. This is cool. The OG art supports. Tammy. Tamamonomae. Very cool. A lot of people tend to disregard her a lot nowadays, now that Castoria is a thing. I think that's a bit unfair. I think she's still great. So... stats are nice for a support again. Prioritizing HP over attack. That's good. Gains are not bad either, honestly. Mostly because of her 5-hitter arts. They obviously had to nerf the number quite a bit, but she still has better gains than like waiver, for sure. So yeah, upstairs is looking good. Very nice. Now the skills. This used to be average. Now it's definitely above average. So it's a guaranteed drain for one enemy. 5-turn cooldown. And party MP damage 30% 3 turns. Pretty solid. And also complements the playstyle she wants to support. So yeah, not bad. Second skill is still the same as it always was. It's a basic defensive option, but it's not like a heal, like just a basic heal or something. So it's still an okay defensive skill. Not too bad, I would say. Average. Pretty good chunk of defense. At least for the 1 turn you activate it on, you're not really going to take any damage. And then you get the additional 30 for the turns to come. And the uptime is good, so... they didn't really change the third skill too much. They did add a heal. The arch skill is still the same, so it's a targeted 50% arch buff for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. That already is massive. like actually massive. Obviously, a certain other support has the same thing with other stuff as well, but still, even then, it's a massive buff, right? Also, Brain Dead, thanks for gifting Tetra a sub. Very much appreciated. 2.5k heal. Also, someone has good taste. This is Ping Pong OST. Whoever posted this has got tier anime taste. Yeah, great skill. Really damn good. And it's even better when her MP can reduce cooldowns, right? So uptime is kind of crazy good. This is very nice because the arts cards are bonkers. This doesn't really make too much sense for supports. It's a lore thing. The MP has been buffed. Not a big buff though, just the healing, sadly. I feel like if they did this nowadays, they would make this MP pretty broken. Don't get me wrong, it's still a good MP. I like the AoE cooldown reduction. The heal is not the best, but you know, 2k on base MP WOD. And then the OC is nice, because a lot of the times if you ever use her, you kind of want to use her MP last. Because the team battery kind of scales pretty well here with the OC levels. So it's even more value if you use it last in the chain. Although with Castoria, I still think I would prio Castoria OC more than her. They're still a good pair though, don't get me wrong, they're actually still a good pair. But slight annoyance with the, because both of them want as high of an OC as possible. I don't think they changed that, did they? Yeah, they didn't change it, gent. This was always the same, the battery. It was only the healing they upgraded, sadly. What could I say? Tammy is still great. Like, some people said she's trash when Castoria came out. Like, no. She's really good, dude. And in fact, she actually goes really well with Castoria, as I was saying. And also, her Bonsi is also worth noting. It's actually very usable. Party art's up 15% when fielded, so a very usable option. I'm gonna go with A+ though, I think. I think for a lot of the time, I sometimes did place her EX, but yeah, I think I'm gonna settle with A+ now. This wasn't as big of a thing for me than Waver was, honestly. Yeah. No way Waver is EX than her. You think so? But Waver is a generic support though. Wait, you guys actually want to see Tammy in EX? I'm surprised. I'm used to seeing people bashing her like crazy because of Castoria. Honestly, I'm fine with placing her in EX as well. She's still great. This is a tough one, actually. Fuck it. Fuck it. You managed to convince me as well. Okay. I have to do it. I mean, you know, a certain other will probably be elsewhere on tier-wise anyway, but still, yeah, okay. Okay. I do love Tammy. Maybe, I mean, I'm glad Chad agreed with me for once as well, because I was afraid people were going to say like, oh, she's like A or B plus or something because Castoria exists. Okay. You don't say Rhinus is bad, but they're at least the same. Okay, here's the thing, Zelt. I keep saying this, but have you seen Rhinus' MP buff? It happened very recently. Before that, I agreed that they were mostly interchangeable for challenge quests, Waver and Rhinus. But after Rhinus' MP buff, she's just so much better than Waver in like 90% of challenge quests. I'm sorry. It's just, it is what it is, man. I just want to make sure if you have actually seen Rhinus' MP buff, she now has one of the best support MPs in the entire game. So yeah, just saying. All right, next one. Sun Zhang, single target buster DPS. Actually is quite happy nowadays with the buster meta supports. They kind of work pretty well with her, I suppose. So attack is on the higher side, which is very good. Again, kind of rare for casters to be above average, so that's nice. Triple art stack, I feel like is fine. I even though she has a buster MP, she doesn't really have like crit potential or anything, so I feel like it's better to have more spam on the MP instead, because the MP actually does good damage. And the gains are also, they're okay. They're not crazy good, but they're okay. And one of her skills also helps quite a bit. So the first skill. I used to be pretty meh with this skill, you know, because it's an 80%. I hate the fact that it's you have to immediately MP as well, which, you know, a lot of the times you do, because it's a turn MP damage. Even though it's only 20%, you can kind of ignore this sometimes, but this is now a lot more better because of a pens being thing, right? So you can actually, with this alone, you can get 100% if you max the battery append, so that's cool. The cooldown is still very high, but, you know, it's just more MP spamming, because you're going to be getting a lot of gauge from your supports, chances are, regardless, so it's not the worst thing as is. They did buff the guts, which was, or not the taunt, which used to be really awkward, so at least now it's still the taunt with the big damage cut for self. So you know what, it's actually kind of nice, because especially if the enemy has high hit counts, you can get a lot of refund. But now it also comes with a free charisma, just flat out a free charisma. Also, they lowered the cooldown to 5, so I would say it's actually a pretty good skill now. I like this. All of this on a 5-turn cooldown. The damage cut, unless it's against an MP, it won't save you. But a 1500 damage cut will definitely make it so that you won't die with that taunt on. So, yeah. Again, this is going to help you with the MP spam as well. Good skill now. And then the third skill, quite nice. AoE MP gain, 3 turns, 30%. AoE Stargen. 30% 3 turns, and debuff immune for 1 turn. All of this on a 5-turn cooldown. Even to this day, this is actually a solid skill in my opinion. I like the uptime and the effects. Well, maybe not the Stargen, it's not the best thing ever, but I like the MP gain, and that 1-turn debuff immune can also be pretty clutch. So actually her kit nowadays, with the append helping this and this buff making this quite a bit better, yeah, it's actually pretty solid. Yeah. Are pen skills useful in general? Oh yeah, for sure. Mostly for the battery, but you know, sometimes you want the other stuff too. Arts up, high amounts from the passive is nice because of the triple on the deck. Berserker bonus is very nice. And the MP also has been buffed. It's just a standard damage bonus, but luckily they also introduced ignore defense as a second normal effect. And man, I actually really like the OC. It's 80% crit chance down for 1 turn on the target. So you won't be crit on that turn, basically. Let's be real. That's not going to happen. And the MP itself also does good damage. Despite her kit not having the most damage in it, besides this and this, it does very good damage. Her attack is also pretty high. And she actually benefits a lot from the current buster supports available. Yeah, that's worth mentioning, Jadane, and because you're mostly going to be running her against assassins anyway. Assassin as an enemy class tends to crit like very often compared to some other classes, so this is again even more nicer when you think about it. Yeah, she's really good. She's really good, right? She's slowly getting better and better. Maybe they might even buff her again, who knows? But yeah, she's in a good spot, I feel like, right now. Good spot for her. I'm pretty confident with the A+ rating. I don't think I'm gonna place her in EX or anything like that. Who's Pepe Caster? You can't tell? You can't tell from the clothes and the hair? I guess you don't recognize all the servants, but yeah, oh well. Too bad. Alright. Da Vinci. AoE arts, honestly, I'm gonna say DPS. Definitely more of a DPS than a caster. Not caster, yeah. Oh, yeah. Farmer. Whoops. Okay. Attack on the lower side, sadly. Deck is actually quite good. I like that it's triple arts, the standard one with the arts MP. Gains are also pretty good. She's on the better side of all the caster gains. Much like her rider counterpart, I guess. So, you know what? At least the numbers here are good. Skills. Sadly, her natural born genius isn't as good as Tesla's one. This doesn't have the attack buff, but it's still a solid skill. I do hate the RNG though, but at least this is like the highest RNG you can have for shit like this. But the guts is guaranteed. 1 time 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown is solid. That's already better than average, I would say, for the 3-turn guts is usually being 6 turn. Then you can get 30% MP damage for 1 turn and 30% defense for 3 turns. That's actually really good on a 5-turn cooldown. So yeah, if you land that shit, it's a really good skill. If you don't, it's still alright, all things considered. But on average, it's actually a pretty damn solid skill. Second skill used to be solid, but now it's even better. So, self-debuff immune for 2 turns. Good. Heals self every turn, 3 turns, by up to 1k. Sure. 10% gauge every turn for 3 turns. Yeah. And now also party arts up 20% for 3 turns. All of this on a 6-turn cooldown I think is very, very solid. So there you go. That's a great skill. A lot of people don't even know about this buff. So that's cool. Then, much like in the previous list, we've seen the Pioneer of the Stars. It's still a solid battery in my opinion. 50% ignore invul for 3 turns and a 10-star bomb. Good utility. I like it. Is good. So overall, nowadays, her skill set is actually really bonkers in my opinion. She can double witch. Yeah, sure. Not the most ideal thing, but yes, sure, she can. Arts up, very nice. High number as well. Debuff success chance up, I guess. It can be okay with the MP, I guess, but besides that. So the MP also has been buffed. Ignores defense, so that's great because she already has invul pierce here, so she can easily have both up, invul pierce and ignore defense, so it's easy to do damage. And now also has a higher number here because the ones we saw previously were 20% crit chance down for 3 turns. Now it's 30%, really good. And then also MP damage for 1 turn. Base 30%, really nice as well before damage. So besides it being a 1-hitter, it's a great MP now. It's just a great MP, dude. Yeah, in fact, she was like the hardest hitting AoE caster, tied with Umu, I think. Umu Summer, yeah. She's still up there for sure. I think people underrate Da Vinci caster. Sure, she can't loop by any means. But as a DPS, she's solid, dude. At least an A. Honestly, maybe even A+. Like, she's solid. She's really good. I love the buff as well, the AoE arts buff. It's really good. Should devs prio buffing older servants or updating the animations? Honestly, probably animations. I think I'm pretty confident in the A+ for Da Vinci caster. Underrated. Very underrated. And can still do some farming too. Not really looping, but yeah. Good DPS though. Alright, the Jack Sentry next time. Alright. Alright. It's Ilya time. Single target buster DPS, much like Sanzang, and pretty much the biggest comparison she has as well. Attack on the lower side though. So it's quite a bit lower than Sanzang's. Not a great start. Full art stick like Sanzang. Gains are also not terrible, honestly, but let me actually check. I need to just to see. Yeah, I think Sanzang has better on average, right? Probably, especially with the skill up, yeah. Okay. It's not dog shit anyway, but yeah. Could do better, I guess. So already here, she kind of loses to Sanzang, sadly. Now the skills. Sanzang already had a good kit in 2022. How does Ilya fare? Not so well. So she has a mana burst. With a different name. It's a mana burst. Which again, average at best in this day and age. Oh well. They did buff this, which is actually really good now. Thank God, she was falling so far behind. So it's a self-invul 1 turn on 6 turns, so it's the standard MP generation, a weird 28% for 3 turns, but sure, yeah, helps. Definitely helps. And then the 50% battery. This helps quite a bit, needless to say. This was a much needed buff, if anything. Because she was falling so far behind Sanzang. Third skill, I don't like. So it's a 70% targeted guts, 70% targeted debuff immune for one time. At least, okay, I guess it's not like one turn. Okay, fair enough. So one turn, one time 3-turn guts, and then a 3k heal is guaranteed. 6-turn cooldown though, that is a lot. So yeah, yikes. It's okay as a defensive skill, I would say. I hate the RNG though. I really hate it, dude. Even without RNG, with this cooldown, I would say it's alright. It would be alright. Not even great. But with the RNG, I just don't like it. So this skill is certainly very nice now, but everything else, I just think she's definitely quite a far behind Sanzang. Magic Risby, actually, nice against bosses. I mean, this is always just a nice bonus to get more MP gauge per turn. Very nice. MP also has been buffed. Thank God, because the other one, old one, used to be pretty bad. So before damage, 20% buster up. Not bad. I like that. Could be a much worse OC, could be curse. MP generation self up before damage. I guess it doesn't really matter if it's before damage, because it doesn't help for the MP anyway. But yeah, can make the MP spam a bit easier to accomplish. Crit star generation, I guess, is okay before damage, so helps with the MP as well, a little bit. And then you have a bit of demerits. 10% attack down 3 turns, 10% defense down 3 turns. Those can be a bit annoying, but not the worst I've seen. The MP itself does do good damage though. Now that's the one thing Ilya has always kind of done pretty well. Like, she's really known for having like a really hard hitting MP. But her downtime isn't that good. But luckily, again, this definitely helps a lot. This is a good start. Because now this is also really good with like Koyanskaya, for instance, with the cooldown reduction and everything, and being a buster unit. So she has a much she can she can be used a lot easier nowadays, needless to say. But I still don't think she's as good as Sanzang. Definitely not. She's either a B plus or an A in my book. She does, again, much like Sanzang, gets good benefit from the buster support, and the battery buff is very solid. But yeah, I don't know. I can't place her below B plus, at least. That would be too low, but yeah, probably just a B plus. Yeah. Yeah. Think I'm gonna go. Wow, copy with the toxic comment. I see you. But hey, you know what? It's looking better for Ilya though, for sure. She was in a much worse spot before buster supports came in and before she got that, you know, nice battery buff. So alright, it's Mr. Sheep Onisan Merlin. The good old, still a year 2 servant, but still extremely relevant in nowadays. So he's a buster support, but you know, you can also run him without like a generic support as well to an extent, but definitely the best when it comes to buster supporting. Stats are good for his support, gains are pretty damn good as well. Definitely on the higher side, so that's good. Party attack up 3 turns, 20%. So it's a charisma, but wait, it's better because it's a battery too for the party. So still a great skill. Good shit. One of his most known things is the illusion. Party invul 1 turn. I guess also party star generation for 1 turn. Usually not the biggest use for that, but I do love the third effect of the AoE crit chance down for 3 turns on 20%. Very solid. Cooldown is hefty, but it makes sense because double Merlin would be even more broken. I mean, it's not like it's broken, but it would be kind of broken if there were like 6 turn cooldowns. So yeah, good supporting skill. And then, you know, the PP placement EX. Single target, buster up 50%, 3 turns. Max HP up 3k, 3 turns. And crit damage up 100% for that turn. 6 turn cooldown, I feel like is fairly fair as well. So yeah, you want your red to crit hard. This is a skill for that, huh? Yeah. Yeah. Overall, you know, even all these years later, he's got a solid kit. This is nice for more gains. This really only helps with illusion, but you know, you do want to land this, so it's nice. And then even better than Ilia, Mew, etc. 5% MP gauge per turn is really, really good. On top of that, you can have like whatchamacallit, Prisma Cosmos and his MP up as well, so it's kind of ridiculous. I guess Berserker bonus can help too. He can slap a little bit. And then the MP, still no buffs whatsoever, but still great. Party gets HP every turn for 5 turns, 1k based on MP1, and 5% MP gauge every turn for 5 turns, and then 5 stars every turn for 5 turns. Is really good, even then. So it's very easy to have a good uptime on this MP, needless to say, with this this one and then his passive. What can I say? Some people might think different, probably not, but I would never place him below EX. Unless something ridiculously stupid happens, like a nerf or something, but yeah, he's obviously gonna place EX. Still super relevant to this day. Good old Merlin. Now we start with some of the looping casters on the 5 stars. This is the first one, right? Actually can loop. Scheherazade, and in fact, of the 3 we have here that can do it, she might be the best, contrary to people hating her. You'd be surprised. So obviously the first annoying thing is her attack sucks. It's so bad. It's one of the lowest among all the 5 stars, so that is a bit unfortunate. But she has something else going for her, which, you know, the other 2 don't, which helps a lot, so it doesn't really matter that much, at least so far. But yeah, that is a low attack. I like the triple arts deck, obviously, because she's a, you know, AoE arts herself. That's good. Even the gains are fine if you need them, but you know, if you're gonna use her for farming, it doesn't really matter that much. But honestly, Scheherazade can be used a bit for bosses as well, I suppose, especially if the boss happens to meet her niche. They did buff this skill, which is good, so it's a guaranteed drain on one enemy. I always like that. Self arts up only for 1 turn, sadly, and it's 30%. But now also a 30% battery. So all in all, I think it's now a pretty good skill with the 3 effects combined. Oh, was there a hiccup just now? I think I saw my bitrate flash on the stream. Anyway, second skill, AoE Male Charm, up to only 60%, so it's not the greatest. But hey, 40% defense up for 2 turns is okay, I guess. Big downtime though, but yeah, meh. It's a meh skill, I would say. Third skill also has been buffed. Self guts 1 time 5 turns on a 6 turn cooldown is good for uptime. The standard would be 7. Also gives everyone else guts. They don't have as good of a guts though. Less HP and turns, but you know, something, I guess. And then if the enemy is a king, they do way less damage for 1 turn, up to minus 50% attack, I guess. Still not an amazing skill by any means, but yeah, better than like a normal 5 turn guts for sure. This is really good. A++ on that. Arts passive is solid. Berserker bonus, you know, always nice to see on any DPS. And the MP has received buffs. So this is what I was talking about. The other 2 you will be seeing very soon, they don't have these going for them, sadly. So even though her attack is low, at least she has an MP buff, which helps a lot. And she also gets 20% MP damage for 1 turn before the damage. Good. I guess there's another normal effect of reducing the enemy's debuff resistance 50% for 1 time 3 turns. Sure. I guess that helps with the charm as well, if you can wait with that. So, you know, it's not completely wasted. And then obviously, if she is fighting king, man, everyone will die. But if you're not, then not so much. But even with, if you're not fighting king, with the loop supports you're going to be using, her damage is still, believe it or not, it's better than her competitors. Actually, it is. Despite having much lower attack and no benefit to the niche in most cases, it's still better than Anastasia and Murasaki, because they don't have MP buffs. And she loops pretty well as well. In fact, of the 3, there's only 2 that can loop without starting gauge, and she's one of them as well, which is good. So she's actually, as much as people hate her, she's the best arts looping caster outside of Sieg. Of the 5 stars, I should say. Sieg is an easier looper, but yeah, of the 5 stars, she's the best. Believe it or not. And because she doesn't need starting gauge, she can use like a black rail as well. Is A plus too wrong? I feel like A plus might be fine. Because of the ease of looping. Yeah. I can't place her in EX, but I think A plus is very fair. I know a lot of people will be wanting to see her lower because they absolutely hate her guts. But, you know, I think she's great. In this day and age, she's a good looper, man. Right. Next one is cool. Umu Caster, another summer unit. AoE, Buster, DPS, and honestly a farmer too. Definitely both in this case. Da Vinci was not placed on A plus because of farming though, for someone who's at that. She was A plus because of DPS potential. Now, attack slightly on the lower side, but still quite a bit higher than Scheherazade, for instance. Double Buster, double Art Stick is fine. Her gains are still actually pretty damn solid. Yeah, they're very solid still. And she, with this, she can do a bit better DPS, I suppose, with a full Buster Chain being possible with the MP. So, yeah, honestly, not too bad. Her skills are actually really nice. So a 50% battery. In most cases, it's just a 50% battery, which is not that great. But if you're less than half HP, you get a massive boost to your MP gain. But again, a lot of the times it's just a battery on 6-turn cooldown, which is still not terrible. It's still okay. And because of the cooldown being like this, you can absolutely do double Vich Atlas looping, which is good. It's a pretty solid option for farming as well. Second skill is really good. Self-attack up 30% 3 turns and defense up 30% 3 turns. Also ignores class defense disadvantage for 3 turns. All of this on a 5-turn cooldown, so it's a pretty solid uptime for this. Really good. And if you thought this was solid, I still have no idea why this is so good. The cooldown is high, yes, but it's a targeted 50% 3-turn attack buff is kinda nuts. Kinda nuts, especially for 3-turn farming, but even outside, even at DPS use, it's still good. That's a lot of attack, man. 80% from her own kit. Wow. And also the target gets a 1-time 3-turn guts. Cooldown is high, yes, but it's very high for damage. Ooh. And obviously if you're gonna run her as a DPS, and again you can bring Vich, the cooldown becomes even less. Riding B doesn't really matter, does it? This is actually fine. And, well, this helps, I guess, for DPSing, because you might need to heal her anyway, so... Interesting. MP. Ignore invul before damage. Always a nice bonus to have. And then MP damage for 1 turn, 20% before damage. So, again, much like Scheherazade, I suppose. Even though the MP obviously has never been buffed, with all of this stuff going for her, and especially if you have good supports, she's still like tied with like, or close to being tied. I forgot. I think she might have been even a bit higher than Da Vinci for damage of all the casters. So yeah, I guess she also looks a bit better nowadays with the Buster supports being available. Yeah. Another A plus. Pretty sure another A plus. She's not amazing in farming or DPSing, but she's very solid on both. Definitely good. Good old Umu Summer. Can't really go wrong with that. Alright, the next used to have my spook emote on it, but right now it's just normal Anastasia, I guess. So here we go. Attack again, a bit on the lower side, but definitely compared to Scheherazade, night and day, no pun intended. Full arts deck is very nice for the arts MP. Gains are alright, they're not amazing, but they're alright for sure. Nothing really to complain about. So not too bad here, I would say. Skills. Ignore invul for 1 turn. Alright. Arts mana burst. Alright. And then enemy debuffers down for 1 turn, 100%. That can actually be a good combo with her MP and the third skill as well. So it's just a better version of an Arts Mana Burst, basically. Nothing amazing, but certainly quite a bit better than a regular Mana Burst. And I guess she has a better charisma than normal. Comes still with the standard 20%-ish attack buff, but also enemies gets the same in negative with the same 5-turn cooldown, so yeah. Interesting. It's a just above average skill, I would say. 50% battery for self, so again, a lot of these have them. And then stun enemy for 1 turn, 60% chance, but I'm pretty sure this helps. So you can make it better. 7-turn cooldown though, because both stun and batteries tend to have long cooldowns, but yeah. Oh well. Still a fine skill, I would say. This is very great though. 12% permanent arts up. That's really good. Like top tier for her. Then she has a unique passive and debuff res up and debuff success rate up. Again, helps with this stun chance too, which is good. I'm gonna sneeze, I think. So close. Not happening. No. But sadly, as I said earlier, she and Murasaki don't have MP buffs yet. So even though their attack is higher and they might even have more damage buffs in their kit, they still don't do as much damage. Now, the MP has a normal effect of skill ceiling as well. I would prefer MP seal, but you know, it's okay, I guess. In some cases, it might be a demerit even, but yeah. And then defense down 3 turns, 20%. This is the standard, but it's also after damage, which would help if it was before, but sadly after. So yeah, she's not a great of a looper as oh, did I say single target? I meant AoE. If I did, I apologize. She's not as great of a looper as Scheherazade is. And boss potential for both, I feel like, is kind of interchangeable as well. So I would place her lower. And in fact, if George's information is correct, only Murasaki and Scheherazade can loop without starting gauge. She might actually need starting gauge as well, which again, you can't use Black Rail then. Which, I haven't tested it too much, but if that is true, that's also pretty unfortunate. This might be harsh, but I'm thinking B+, honestly. Oh my god, someone requested Rush. Someone has really good taste. Maybe A though, because she can still do it though, right? But she's definitely not as consistent and good as Scheherazade. Yeah. Yeah. Alright. I'm okay with A, I suppose. A for Anastasia. Dude, who requested this song? You have good taste. Right. Okay, taking a break from the looping. Well, I guess, well, for the servant in question, but yeah, maybe now we go back to supporting. So, it's the good old Scotty. Still the best we have for a quick support in this day and age, but maybe 2022 will be the year of the quick, who knows. So, a quick support is what she is in case someone lives under a rock. Attack low, but that's good because you want the HP anyway. Quick double arts, I feel like is fine. Her gains are actually still pretty good. In fact, they're probably better than most of these supports anyway. So it's like Rhinus. Despite having double arts, double quick instead of triple arts, gains are still better on average. Because the refund is really good. Alright. One single target quick up 50% 3 turns. And quick crit damage 100% for 3 turns. 6-turn cooldown. Not bad. Obviously very useful for quick looping for those that can do it, but even for a DPS, pretty massive buff. Like, the quick crits with this active are insane. They do so much damage. So much damage. It's like hero creation for quick, basically, with better uptime. AoE defense down 30%, 3 turns, solid. And also 30% crit chance down 3 turns, solid. Just again, if you're using her against bosses, which most people won't, but you could, especially now that the MP is buffed. Solid skill, but can also help with because some quick loopers don't do the biggest damage, especially if you have lower damage. You might need the defense down anyway to, you know, make sure they do enough damage, right? So even for that, this is useful. And then the targeted 50% battery, and that's it. The combination of these three is what makes her like a looping support. This is fine for gains. This is fine to make sure that these land better. And debuffers is good if you're fighting bosses, always nice. And then the MP was buffed. So now it has an attack buff for party for 5 turns. 20% base, that's solid, not gonna lie. That is solid as just an added normal effect. And it scales from the level too, in case you're unfortunate like me to have MP2 or higher even. And then they also they increased the amount of crit damage, right? From now it's 50% base, 3 attacks, 5 turns, not bad. Definitely okay. Then you got the healing harp effect, although I guess it's still 1 attack, but at least this one is also 3 turns instead of 1. But you know, chances are they will get consumed immediately. And then insta kill immune for party 1 time 3 turns. No one really cares about that. Not really relevant, is it? And then the OC. I wish they buffed the number of the OC. This should be 1k on base in my opinion. 500 doesn't really do too much. This should be like 1k on base. The MP is like, I was a bit disappointed. Not because the buffs are good, but I was hoping they would take more of a defensive approach, if anything. Because literally all of her kit is offense as is. So if they wanted to make her, because you know you're not going to use this on farming anyway, right? So if they wanted to make her a better boss support, I feel like they should have added defense stuff. Like, make this damage cut higher. Make this like a defense up instead of attack up. Options, there are options, right? So I'm not sure why they went with more offense when this doesn't really help with the farm anyway. So I'm not, it's a good MP for sure, but it's kind of not what I would have done for the buff. Now, I debated a lot with Scotty, much like with Waver, between A and EX as well, but I will still do the EX just because she's the only one that can kind of enable still a quick looping to the extent that it can go to, but only because of that. If we get like a second quick support that's better and does more stuff against bosses as well, she's probably down here. But just because she's Scotty, no one really replaces her right now for what she does. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, we might see something at some point, who knows. There you go. Scotty, the good old reliable, I guess. Right, the last of the 3 SSR Arts loopers, Murasaki. Obviously AoE Arts DPS / farmer, probably more of a farmer than DPS, but honestly has decent potential for DPS too, especially if the niche hits. Attack is high, it's good, very nice. That's a good start. Gains are also fine from my experience of using her. Not too bad, even with the double quick, double arts, which honestly I still find weird that she has double quick. But oh well, the gains are still fine. It doesn't really hurt that. Now the skills. Much like Scotty, has a 30% defense down on AoE for 3 turns, but instead of crit chance down, has party demonic damage against demonic. How about that? So, in a lot of cases, you would probably prefer the crit chance down, but, you know, sometimes this could help. Demonic, again, one of the more common traits, I suppose. Also, yeah, this song is really loud, isn't it? Again, ignore that if you're watching this on YouTube. Alright. Anyway, yeah, can be good, but a lot of the times it's probably going to be average on 6 turns for cooldown. MP seal. Sadly doesn't go up to 100%. I hate that. I hate that. There's no reason for this not to go to 100%. Come on. Come on, man. Anyway, also a 30% self battery and MP damage for self for 3 turns, which is good, again, because she loops, so this is nice. Helps with all of those MPs. Third skill. I like this. I like the fact that it's all defensive stuff. So, damage cut for party, 3 attacks, 1k, up 2. Not bad. That's what I wanted for Scotty as well. The 500 was pretty low, but this is way better. Then party debuff immune for 1 time 3 turns. So again, nice to have. And buff removal resistance for 1 time 3 turns is also very... I love that effect. That is sexy. I like that. 5 turn cooldown. This is great. This is a great defensive skill. Just really good across the board. So again, this is why she has even better boss potential, because this is so solid as a defensive skill. Overall, her kit is fine, but I hate the fact that this doesn't go to 100%, and this is, you know, not always gonna do anything, so yeah. This I wish was a bit higher for the number because it's only C+, so 7% arts, but oh well. This is good because you want your debuffs to land. Because there's quite a bit of them in her case. And obviously, like Anastasia, her MP hasn't been buffed. Maybe someday, but as is, not yet. Normal effect includes a buff block for 1 turn. Which I like. I always think that's good, you know, utility as well. I wish it was like 1 time, 3 turns instead of 1 turn to make it a bit more flexible, but oh well. No problem, that is car. And as the skill as well, also extra damage against demonic. Sometimes good, sometimes kind of useless. But yeah, what do you guys think? Scheherazade A+, Anastasia A. I'm not sure if I can I place her here too? Like A+? I'm not sure. I don't know. I feel like I should distinct Scheherazade a little bit. But honestly, at least she can still supposedly do the looping without starting gauge as well, so... yeah. And you know, I like her. I think she has the best boss potential as well of the 3. Yeah. Yeah. The only reason I put Anastasia below them is because she can't really do any... her looping is a bit harder, and, you know, the damage isn't as good as Scheherazade's. Yeah. I feel like this is fair. They're, again, somewhat interchangeable, though, don't get me wrong. Like, even if someone placed them all in the same tier, I wouldn't be mad. But, yeah, I feel like this is how I want to place these 3 at the end of the day. Yeah. Yeah. Anastasia is top tier looper. Can she do it with Black Rail? Can she? I actually haven't tried. Without plug suit? Black Rail, no plug suit? Yes? Okay, well then they should be in the same tier. Okay, I was given misinformation. It is what it is. Okay, they're the same tier then. Alright, fair enough. Then they are the same. Okay. Cool. They should bring 2004. That's fine. Alright, I guess the next one is the fun one. I mean, we're still gonna cover all this stuff, but you know, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's Castoria, Arturia Castor. I mean, if no one doesn't know how good she is at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Art support Castor, but honestly, you can absolutely use her without art supporting as well, because her MP is also pretty ridiculous, and it's still the only one with special invo. But yeah, good stats, high HP. Gains are actually damn good. Like, one of the best for all of the supports in the game, even outside of casters. Her gains are actually really solid. So, everything is looking good here. Her version of Charisma comes with also 20%, but a 20% attack, but 30% battery. Because, yeah, that's balanced. 30% AoE battery. They did up the cooldown to 6, but still, like, wow. Wow. It's very important that it's 30% as well, because you have to combo to get 50% with this. So they didn't change the name. So it's a single target, 20% battery, which also increases the entire party's MP gain by 30% for 3 turns. All of this on a 5-turn cooldown. That's really good, man. Needless to say, that's really good. And then the third skill, because why the hell not? It's the same as Tammy in that it gives one ally 50% arts up for 3 turns, but also gives them invul for 1 turn, and if the enemy happens to be a threat against humanity, they're probably gonna die pretty fast. It is 1 turn higher than Tammy though, worth noting, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, it's definitely great. So, yeah. Yeah, that's a kit, right? That is a kit. Magic Rosé, that's great. Also great, max rank of arts up, yeah. This doesn't really matter too much though, arts crit. And then when you clear last build 6, she gets 20% permanent crit resistance. Like, are you kidding me? That's an insane passive, dude. Oh my god. Dude, these are some insane passives. What the fuck, dude? Okay, dude. And then the MP. The MP. Okay. Attack up 3 turns on all allies. It's even 30% on base. They could have made this like 20%, but whatever. Full cleanse and then the OC. Every stack of OC gives you 1 extra stack of special invul for 3 turns. It's so broken. Like, I'm not even gonna start explaining why special invul is as broken as it is, but like, it's the best defensive mechanic in the game by far. It's just stupid. It's so easy to gain these stacks as well when you know, MP with her in a chain. It's so stupid, man. Like, I could gloat about her all day, right? Like, she's amazing as that. She single-handedly, you know, made so many servants be able to arts loop. She's god tier in challenge quests. Even if you're not using arts servants, you can absolutely still run her and whatnot. It's pretty redonkulous, man. No one is surprised at this, but yeah, yeah, it's like the dumbest thing ever. And I say it right here with ease. This is not even an argument, at least in my opinion. She is the best servant in the entire game. The best of all the servants ever released. Maybe they can power creep again someday, but right now she is the best servant in the entire game. It's not the same color as F. Right? I don't think it is. No, I mean, just in case, I can make this a bit... Yeah, there you go. Just in case. Okay, that's better. So there you go. No, everyone saw that coming. Oh yeah, I might as well mention, because she has an amazing Bond C too. Yeah, might as well. So if you need more looping, which you might not, but you know, if you need more, you get attack and MP gen by 10% as well with her Bond C. So if you need more help, use this, I guess. Like, she's just ridiculous in all sense of the word. Hey Jord, thanks for the 21 months, man. Welcome back to the Go Gang. Now, here comes the hardest one to place. Dude, I studied Crane like crazy yesterday. I don't actually have her on JP, but man, she might be the hardest servant in all of these lists for me to place. She's like the big brain servant of FGO. Oh my god. So what is she? I would like to say she's a buff stacking crit support, first and foremost, pretty much in most of the use cases. Very weird and unique case, but I suppose in a good way for mostly. But yeah, attack is very low, which is good because you want the HP, of course, as a support, so that's cool. Full art stick, like mostly you have on casters, of course. Her gains look fine, nothing wrong with that, so yeah, not too bad. I think upstairs is completely great. Skills, okay, here we go. Let's start with the skills. Okay, so it gives your 2 other allies an invul for 1 turn. Not for herself, but you know, there are ways to play around with this, obviously. Also, the other 2 allies get up to 100% star generation for 3 turns. So again, not bad, a lot of stars. And you will need stars with her too, you'll see that soon. 5 turn cooldown, not bad. And if your allies happen to be if they have costumes, aka they have the costume owning trait, which there's a lot of servants honestly this day and age, each one of those gives you up to 10 stars each. So if the 2 you're supporting both have this trait, you get 20 stars. So not bad. That's the best value, and in fact, in that case, this is a really, really good skill. That it's really good value at that point. And especially because, again, 20 stars, that's the magic number. Keep that in your mind for now. Alright, second skill. Self-battery. Just a flat-out 100% battery. Makes her very flexible. If she didn't have this, I would definitely not like her too much, but this makes her so much more flexible. Does 2k damage to herself. Not the biggest demerit, I suppose. And then taunts your other allies again. Not herself, but again, the other 2 allies you have for 3 turns. So similar to Odysseus, this time you can't choose the one who doesn't get the taunt. But yeah, I would say in most cases this is a merit. If you can protect them enough, which you know you're going to be bringing more supports with Crane anyway, it's definitely a merit. Because it's just going to increase their MP gain as well. And also, if chances are, if you bring in someone with her MP that's not a support, that's maybe a fragile DPS or a fragile support, it's good that they don't have the taunt as well. So again, there's a lot of thinking that goes into all of this, right? But it's a great skill. It really enables her to do the crazy things like she can, right? So, yeah. Now the third skill. This is why she has the crit potential. So she basically gives one ally self mod A, so you have the same numbers for the absorb and crit damage. Well, just slightly under with the absorb, but yeah, 5 turn cooldown, so that's good uptime. I guess they also get insta kill immune for 3 turns, not that it really matters that much. And then also, you know, she likes hurting herself. Is she a cutter? I don't know, but yeah, another self-hurting thingy. The kit itself is not bad by any means. And it is, in fact, with the MP in mind, it makes even more sense. So let's take a look at that, I guess. Arts up is good. Star Gen, honestly, with her numbers, as a caster, it might be fine to have some of it. And then this one I still don't understand. I tried to understand this. I don't understand. I understand everything but the last parts. So when she's on field, party gets 10% buff success rate up on received buffs. But I'm not sure what... This doesn't make any sense, right? Because you can't buff your sub-members anyway. I just don't think this makes any sense. Like, why is this here? You can't buff your sub-members anyway. And it only works when she's on the field. So it doesn't even mean that she would be on the sub-field. It's just a weird passive. But yeah, mostly because this doesn't really make any sense to me. Yet. Okay, yeah, yet. Future-proofing. Yeah, there you go. Alright, then the MP. Okay, here we go. So this is why the 20 stars is the magical number, because not only do you need the 100% MP gauge, you need to pay 20... Well, you don't need to pay, you obviously don't lose the stars, but you need 20 stars to actually use the MP as well, in top of the gauge. But what do you get when you use it? Well, okay, so the first ally, not targeted obviously, because you can't target MPs, but, you know, you have to place your units in a smart way because of this. First ally, aka, you know, it's the same as Gong, right? If she's in the middle, you start from the left, and if she's on the left, you go to the right. So that unit will get base 20% attack up 3 turns, 30% MP damage for 3 turns, and then she yeets herself. Not... Well, I shouldn't say yeet because she doesn't sacrifice. Now, this is not a swap, okay? This is not a swap. This is not a plug suit. She moves herself to the end of the party and then basically pushes the party forward. So it's not a swap. It's not like she swaps with the last person, the person in the last slot. No. So let's say you have a normal party of 6 members, right? You use her MP. The unit that's on slot number 4, the first one on the back line, is the one that comes in when you use this MP for the first time. So that's how that works, okay? And she'll be at the back, chilling. Unless you fetch her with a plug suit, or unless your frontline wipes, you won't be seeing her again after that. So again, it's an interesting gimmick. And then also the ally who you give these damage buff to get the 30% battery. This is sometimes wasted. If you're using her for farming, which you can, this is a lot of the times just wasted. But if I feel like she's better on not farming because of, you know, her crit. Like, here's the thing. And this is also coming from people that use her a lot, that gave me pointers here. Crane's best potential is speed running bosses. She's a speed kill support. That's their best case use, because to put it simply, with her your main DPS can get 4 supports worth of buffs in 2 turns. That's the best case, pretty basically. So she's like a speed run boss support. She can be used for farming as well, for sure, because, you know, the MP is free and she's gonna swap herself anyway. So if you need like more damage for your farmer, you can absolutely just do this for free, right? Because she doesn't need a CE. You get the full MP from this, and you just buff your farmer. But obviously that will take a 1 servant slot. But yeah, if you need damage, it's fine for that too. But even then, like her... And also I should mention, she has the best buff stack potential in the game. It's mostly a meme. It's not really that serious. Like, you know how the meme Merlin buff stack goes when, you know, you do the buffs, then you swap your plug suit your DPS, then comes a taunt, or you wait 15 turns for the cooldown to come back up, and you do that 3 times at most, because then you're out of taunters. But she doesn't really have a limit for that because of the way her MP works. But again, it's mostly for fun. That's not really like a serious thing, the unlimited buff stacking thingy. But yeah, her best case is actually speed killing bosses, which is a viable strat, honestly. If you have, especially if you have like other buster supports, like depending on what you have for supports. So yeah, she's a very interesting case. I still stand by the fact that she's probably the hardest servant of all of these, including extra classes, for me to place in this tier list. But it's definitely one of the A's, I want to say. Now, which one? That I still don't know. But it's definitely one of the A's. She's a good addition to a lot of comps, but she's definitely not needed. But definitely a welcome addition to a lot of comps, if you're sure your team is good enough. But I can probably agree to A+, because in a lot of cases she's not really a demerit to have. In fact, she's just a straight up merit to have, and she's worthy of that one slot. Because remember, if you're doing the speed farming, the reason he has to be speed farming, because if you lose your frontliners too quick, she's gonna come back. She's not gonna have any cooldowns at all. She just used everything turn 1 and just left, right? So yeah, she would be kind of a nuisance at the end if it goes on for too long. But in most cases, she will definitely just be a merit to have, just making your DPS that much better, I suppose. Even better if they're a crit DPS, so... yeah, just because of her potential, I am going to put her in A+, but honestly, she could be all over the place. Is one of the hardest servants to ever play. She's so unique and crazy. I'm really looking forward to get her on NA because I don't have her on JP and I really want to try labbing and whatnot. She's going to be fun. But yeah, this is what I'm going to stand with right here, okay? And then the last one... I guess Martha was a bit newer, but this is the latest SSR. Izumo no Okuni. Single target quick caster DPS. Yeah, you heard me right. Quick. She was the first quick caster to begin with, and then immediately after they did support Martha with quick MP as well. Interesting. Yeah, that didn't take long. But yeah, attack. High. That's good. That's certainly very good. Also, yeah, I see you. Gains are pretty good, I would say. She only has one arts card, which is she's the only caster in the game to only have one arts card in her entire kit, including the MP. So, but from using her, I can still say that her gains are not bad, even if she only has one arts card. And yes, it's absolutely the Lancer deck. Yeah, gains are still good. And she also has pretty decent star generation because of the way the deck is, actually, funnily enough. Now the skills. Self Quick and Buster up 3 turns each on 30%. I like that. Sadly, it's on 7 turn cooldown because it's also tied to a defensive mechanic of 2-hit evasion for 3 turns. The effects are good, but I wish this was on like a different skill because I would like a better uptime for these, for sure. But it's still alright, I would say. But it's slightly awkward because you want better uptime for your DPS stats, obviously. Second skill. Big chunk of star absorb for 1 turn, so you're probably going to get those stars. Also a lot of crit damage for 1 turn, up to 100%, so yeah. And also for that 1 turn, when you crit an enemy, you inflict 10% defense down for 3 turns. So that's cool. Can make for a decent turn. It's an okay skill as well. Again, it's only 1 turn effects on a 5 turn cooldown, but the synergy is good, so I like it, so it's still fine, I would say. And the third skill, targeted cooldown reduction. Why not? That's cool. And the battery is always for herself, so 50% battery, much like Ilya for instance, for single target, so that's cool. And a 15 star bomb goes really well with this actually, so synergy. And again, you can totally target your support with this if you want, because she's gonna get the battery and the stars are for everyone anyway. So I like the flexibility with this. Obviously the cooldown is a bit high because it's a battery and a cooldown reduction skill, but I would still say this is a great skill. So again, much like Sanzang, she's got a great kit. Not bad at all. But yes, the downtime can be noticeable. But good thing is that her MP is still fairly spammable from using her, I can tell you that much. So even if her downtime otherwise is not the greatest, the MP itself is still pretty spammable. Alright, arts up and crit damage, cool. Debuff success rate up and crit damage, why not more? And 2 stars per turn in crit damage, so this is a cool unique passive. It's like the Foreigner one, but instead of like debuff res, it's crit damage, so 12% more. Why not? Pretty solid passives, I would say. And then the MP. This is good. Quick resistance down 20% 3 turns before damage. Love that. Much like Murasaki, she does have the demonic niche, but even then, She can hit fairly hard, actually. Not bad. And the MP is 10 hits. So even if it's quick and not arts, the MP itself already refunds a lot. Like, it refunds pretty well. So yeah, that's what I was saying when I said the MP is pretty spammable, because the MP itself already refunds quite a bit. So yeah, like all quick puffs on her are really fat too because of that, because of these hit counts. Just give her a lot of quick puffs and she's gonna go zoom zoom zoom. I think she's very solid. I don't think she's like god tier or anything, but I would place her absolutely in the same tier as Sanzang. I'm pretty sure I knew I was gonna place her in A+ even before I made this list. So if quick meta ever evolves to a point where it's like Buster levels or something, she might honestly be easy EX tier. But yeah, she's still very solid across the board, despite quick being at the moment the weakest of the DPS card types. But yeah, you can't really go wrong with her. She's just a very solid DPS. All right, dude. Dude, look at this balance. But it is what it is. But speaking of that, do we want to change anything before we wrap things up on this list? Interesting. Lower Irie. Oof. Okay. Ilya lower. No, that's a fair placement because of Buster supports helping her a lot now with the battery being a thing. It's a fair placement for sure. Ah. Audio is in my speakers. Ah! You can probably hear all this. No! Go back to my headphones. Okay. You can't have Iron in the same tier as Geronimo. There's no equals for that, man. Damn, dude. Helena stands out enough to be A+, but A is fair enough. I'm still think I'm gonna go with A for Helena. No, a bit, Kirei, a bit. Why CGX? Because he's the best looping caster in the game. Well, he and Coolcaster, I guess, but one for arts, one for Buster. Honestly, I'm not even sure if I need to even change him much at all here. I feel fairly solid with this list. You know what? We'll make this like a... Okay, here's the thing. Just for the memes. Just for the memes. There you go. There you go. She even goes past that. Okay, there you go. That's good, that's good. Alright. There you go. That's better. Okay. Yeah, honestly, I'm pretty happy with this list. Alright, let me zoom out just a little bit so it's visible on the stream as well properly. Yeah. I mean, again, people could argue about Waver and Tammy. I could absolutely see them both being like A+ or something, but... I'm okay with this, okay? I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this. Waver mostly because he's so accessible and whatnot, obviously. And he can basically slot him in any party ever. And he's still gonna do fine. Maybe not the best thing ever, but he's always gonna work. So there you go. Damn, dude. Yeah, I'm actually happy with this. I was kind of nervous going into this, because I wasn't sure about some of the placements. I still don't have, honestly, the most experience with a lot of these, like Crane in particular. I wish I had her on JP, she's really fun looking, but at least I was given some good pointers by actual Crane users and whatnot, so I feel like the placement is still pretty fair. Coolcaster EX Plus is the only true 6-slot looper. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually tempted to do that. Fuck, dude. Yeah, he's like the best of the best for Buster loopers as well. Fuck, dude. I'm actually tempted to do that. Like, he can farm neutral too, which is stupid. Fuck it. You know what? If someone wants to give me hate comments for this, I'll fucking do it, dude. There you go. Coolcaster. Broken Buster looper. Absolutely broken, dude. Absolutely broken. Just, you know. Yeah. That's it. I know Merlin is strong, and maybe some people could say EX plus, but no, I'm gonna keep Merlin in EX. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep him in EX. Okay, this is it. Okay, this is it. This is it. Okay, so there you go. Again, if you don't know what the emote is, it's Sieg. I hope it would be a bit obvious, but yeah, it's Sieg behind that emote. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Fuck, dude, that was a interesting list. I guess next week we'll have assassins, right? Now, if you're someone who watched this on stream right now, or you're watching this later on YouTube and you watched all of this, again, big shout outs to you. What a trooper. Especially if you've seen all of these, that's even crazier. And if you enjoyed it, if you're watching this on YouTube, please press the thumbs up button. I can't talk anymore. Really motivates me to keep making these every year. Would like to do them maybe next year as well. It's a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but you know, if people like these, then that's all the reason for me to do them. Obviously, subscribe for more. Don't miss out on any future ones. Next week we'll hopefully have Assassin. My cables keep disconnecting. And besides that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and hopefully no too salty comments about this list. Peace out. So yeah, that was for YouTube. You guys think they're gonna be salty or okay with this? They've been okay with basically all the lists so far. There hasn't been really that many salty comments at all. The reception has been... Is it still? It's still on my speakers, god damn it, dude. The fucking audio, dude. Alright. Subset? Oh no, there's actually no selection this week because we're playing the games from last week because I had to sadly skip that stream because I got a migraine. So for tomorrow we'll be playing... I'm gonna check out Transistor for the first time, and then some AMQ as well, anime music quiz. If you want to play along, feel free to. It's gonna be a viewer game. Anyone can participate, even if you're not a sub. We're gonna host a lobby, so yeah, join in if you want to play some AMQ. It's a fun game. If you're a weeb that likes your anime music, it's a great game. But yeah, that's the list. I'm happy with this. I'm gonna end slightly short here, I guess. My voice is already kind of dying. Now I have no idea what I would do anyway at this point, but yeah, hope you guys liked the stream, and again, shout out to all of you guys that were here for the full time. Sorry I couldn't read the chat too much. I tried to read as much as I could, and even some of the alerts I must have missed because, you know, I had them not visible. But yeah, we'll go back to the normal stuff again tomorrow. And then yeah, I need to do a lot of prep for the assassin list as well. I feel like assassin lists, like a lot of these are skewed towards the top side, right? Which I think is fair, because, you know, there's a lot of good units out there. But I feel like in assassin list, we're going to be a lot on the middle area, if not just a lot below the middle as well. We'll see, because it's one of the weaker classes for sure in terms of the servants, and in terms of the numbers of the actual class as well, to be honest. But yeah, for today, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the subs. Thank you for the resubs. Thank you for the gifted subs. Thank you for the bits, thank you for the tips, thank you for the follows, and most importantly, thank you so much for being here. Again, hope you have a good rest of your day. If you missed the list or anything, I'm gonna upload it overnight, so it should be up tomorrow morning my time, so less than 24 hours it's gonna be up, hopefully. You can check it again if you want to. And yeah, have a great rest of your Friday.